if you don't have the support of your governor, and you don't really have the whole support of National Guard, State Guard, and it's like, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of people don't want to touch that because it's technically insurrection.
Absolutely. And intentional. I mean, it's by design, if you think,
Exactly.
so it's like they always act like their hands are tied, like there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
It's really sad because a lot of people then believe that and they think, that it's just kind of happenstance. It's not intentional. And
Hmm.
to destroy America from within, it's really the only way you can do it. And so, I mean, they do a great job at destroying everything.
Well, that's kind of why I like put most of my efforts behind New California, because we've actually openly declared that the state of California is in fact the insurrectionist government, and they've the ones that have seceded because they're not providing the constitutional form of government to our citizens. So in fact, people think New California is this and he's kind of high up on the state. He's not state guard or whatever the
National Guard.
yeah, but he sort of oversees and provides training for police and sheriffs across Northern California, and same thing for him. It's like he would have to violate direct orders, but it's like we're at a point now where that's kind of. I mean, what else are you gonna do? Just watch us be invaded? Like,
I know it's necessary. Like they want us, like, people to think that there's no options. You know what I mean? Anything that you're the problem. And that's the problem is that we're allowing that to be reality when it doesn't have to be.
so maybe you can expand on that. What are the options that we have legally or constitutionally? Uh, I mean, the existing laws are unconstitutional, right?
Right. Well, we should have a militia. Like the Congress should bring forward a militia. And they're just like, but they've demonized the militia to make it seem like that is a bad thing when, those are things that we should be having people on the border, even like the army or whatever that used to be on the border. Right. And it's like
Yeah,
now they're just, I mean, our military is being used for other invasions in other countries. And it's like they're protecting them
yeah.
all while we're sitting here watching, our nation just be destroyed. And it's, absolutely ridiculous. I mean, because what they're doing is treason,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like they're acting as though, this is, a humanitarian crisis, that you're xenophobic if we talk against it, because like
Mm-hmm.
these people should have a right to be here, but it's like not when they're committing a federal offense to do it, and then you're just letting them go and be released in the streets, especially like the terrorists. They catch a few of them, so they act like, oh, we caught this many, and it seems on the surface like, oh, that's really good, right?
Right.
And but in
Mm-hmm.
reality, it's like there's way more than that you guys aren't even aware of because they'll discard their documents and then unless they're able to compare them and stuff information they give them, they're going to be lost in the system, and that's intentionally. I mean, it's like how many. I mean, I have a friend who badass Uncle Sam. He's in New Orleans, but he does like on the street interviews, and he talked with this guy that works for the Department of Homeland Security, and he was talking about like in 3 years ago, like 50 to 75,000 or something like that terrorists, like or Bin Ladens that are released into the country, and they can't go and search for them. So imagine, that's 3 years ago. How many more are actually in our nation and
Yeah.
what that potentially means. And if, I mean, even though we did 9/11 to ourselves, it's like, you're setting us up for something really bad to happen, especially when all of these countries that we have gone into for nefarious reasons, masquerading as though it was good, we've destroyed the lives of so many people, and now they're in our nation. You think they're going to really want to, protect it or, make it as though like they're
Mm-hmm.
going to try and do anything but destroy us? Like it's mind blowing because
Yeah.
and then people just think that it's okay, that there's not a problem when in fact there is. And it's very negligent, but it's intentional negligence. And you have, you know, so many people in the government that, you know, could be doing something, and they'll kind of on the surface act like they are and that they're kind of against it. But then even if you talk about it being like treasonous, right? Like how JJ
Mm-hmm.
Cole has, and he'll go ask, you know, different politicians, it's like they don't want to admit that it's treason because then they would have to, you know, understand that they're a part of that and that,
Yeah,
yeah,
and they don't want to call it an invasion either because
right,
there's clear constitutional language that says that an invasion is a violation
correct,
of. And I'm
correct.
just so there's so many levels to this, and maybe we can break that down. You've obviously got the media level, which is pitching it all as a humanitarian crisis,
Hmm.
and then they can pigeonhole, American first people that just want safe streets as extremists because we're xenophobes.
Right.
And if we even talk about, I mean, I'm looking at the Second Amendment, right? People all talk about the Second Amendment like it's the right to bear arms, but it starts off with saying a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state.
Absolutely.
And so we're talking about the sovereign states of the United States. And so, but if we talk, even say the word militia, the media is going to latch onto that once again, can call us extremists or
Right.
not Christian nationals or,
Yeah.
so we've obviously got the media problem, which is always huge. And
When
then
they need,
we've, yeah,
I was just gonna say they need them to push the narrative. You know what I mean?
exactly.
That people will parrot that out, just like with everything, like with COVID, how they do it with
Yep.
anything and everything to get the people to just, you know, go along with whatever is happening. And
Right.
we
And
should be.
then
Go ahead.
just demonizing anybody and any voices that contradict their narrative. So yeah,
Absolutely.
they divide us and demonize us. So what's on that front? What I mean, I know that you're on the border. You're actually, giving live stream, news. I think San Diego Live Data is on
Yeah.
here too,
Yes.
and they have a channel where you can see live videos on the border.
Yes. That's my buddy. We work together. It's
Right
Robert.
on.
Yeah. Robert is.
Welcome, Robert.
Yeah.
And maybe you can hop up here too if you want to join as a speaker. But yes,
Yeah. I think it's important to do it live
yeah.
as much as possible. I mean, sometimes when you're on the border, your connection isn't that great, so you can't always. But when you do it live, it's like the people are there with you. There's no way to say that you've, you know, manipulated anything. It's firsthand
Mm-hmm.
of what's actually going on. And I think more people should do that.
Yeah.
And Robert's a good facilitator of that. He's actually taught me a lot, you know, over the last, you know, several months. Since we've been really working on it, but just to, you know, get more out there in that way. And it's it's great because it's really important that we share what's happening because I think that, like you said, the news will give a watered down version. Like if they talk about it and like they talk about the illegals in the hotels, they act like, oh, they have a place to stay. And look, now they're taking a flight to their sponsor. And they just, you know, sugarcoat it like it's not really what it is. And they don't, you know, you don't hear them necessarily talking about all of the nefarious actors that are coming into play. And you can see all across the world how this is affecting, you know, the communities and how they're actually like, these people are our replacements. They have priority
Mm-hmm.
over
Right.
the people. And it's not until it really affects somebody personally, I feel like,
Right. Yep.
that they see it and they're like, then it pisses them off. And it's
Yeah.
like, you know, that's why I think, you know, I've been doing border machine tours, taking people to these places to show them firsthand. Because for me, it had to be firsthand. I
Yeah.
understood it was happening, I was reporting on it, but not until I was like, it was in my face, did it really become like paramount to cover it and, you know, uncover what was actually happening in San Diego. And it wasn't that hard. I mean, it was something that, you know, once you just kind of start paying attention, you can see their entire operation. And
Mm-hmm.
the more they wanted to hide it, the more I was like, okay, I'm stubborn. So like you wanting to hide this makes me want to figure out what the heck's going on and why
Exactly.
you're so secretive about it. Because if again it's for humanity, then what difference does it make? But
Yeah, if it's for
instead,
humanity, you're going to
yeah,
tell me all about the good
yeah,
stuff you're doing. Yeah.
yeah, and like be like, oh, this is so great. We're doing this, we're doing that. Instead, they're just saying, you know, they'll even if you go to like even at the Catholic charities where they're doing immigrant and refugee services and giving them their RCA checks, their refugee cash assistance checks, they were like, you know, didn't want you filming because, you know, they want to protect these people. And it's like, okay, well, I have every right to do that because I'm trying to protect my community and make sure they understand what's happening here.
Exactly.
And it's like the more you want me not to, the more I'm going to. Because it's absolutely absurd that they'll even, you know, they have their whole MO and it goes from, you know, the NGOs and everybody engaged in it wanting to cover their faces, cover, like give
Yeah.
masks to the illegals, tell them not to talk to you, you know, tell them that you have a nefarious agenda when in fact they do. Because I'm like, you're getting paid per person that you actually encounter. So that's why they try and hoard them and
Yeah.
like, you know, keep them under their wing under the guise of like we're trying to help you. But I'm like, no, because you have monetary gain from this. Like you're
Yep.
not doing it from the kindness of your heart. And it's like all those, you know, like even Jewish Family Service, Catholic Charities, all these NGOs are the
Mm-hmm.
ones that go and vie for the money anytime there's a grant that's set to be given. You know, they want to come in and because it's about the money, it's not really about helping anything. Like even the homeless, right? Like how many billions of dollars have we spent on that just in California? And the problem gets worse. And like
Yeah.
it's
And
absurd even for Newsom to be like, oh my gosh, as a taxpayer, I can't believe this is happening. Like it's bullshit. I mean,
totally. So, and then the irony that they're getting financial incentive to come across the border illegally, and here you are doing, journalism on your own dime, on your own,
right.
time, and you're the one being demonized and hassled for trying to get just fair information. So I just want to say, anyone listening, follow Storm here and San Diego live stream. We have to follow and support these people that are actually doing the reporting, because we now have an opportunity to not only bypass the media, who are all corporately controlled and told what to say like puppets, but not only support people like you, but you can follow on a regular basis, and you can vet and verify all the stuff that Storm is reporting. And because I mean, my dad, he's like old school, and he grew up. I say old school in the sense that he still believes the mainstream media.
Right.
And then if I say anything like, have you heard what's going on the border? I mean, for him, if it's not on like the LA Times or the Wall Street Journal, it doesn't exist. And I said, well, this is going on. This is going on. And he's like, well, how do you know? I'm like, well, I can get it directly from the firsthand witnesses. And not only that, I can talk to these people and have a personal relationship with them. And so this is
And
huge, and this is going to take time, I think, and this is why we do these spaces, because this is all volunteer grassroots, because until we start to connect and network on a, person to person, just basis, where we just communicate with each other, we're not going to be able to have the network to bypass all this fake news. But so yeah, you guys need to follow Storm here. And do you have any other people on this chat, on this space? I know you've got a crew of people that you kind
yes.
of look after each other down there.
Yeah, so Robert will and Jeff, he's Liberty underscore Clarion. He's out on the border right now. I told him to come on. So he should be here in a little bit and he can kind of give a little update of what's been going on. He's been finding other locations because that's part of it is that they're moving where they're doing it.
Yeah,
Like, you know, before they had these specific locations, they would give documents that would show it. But now there's so many other places that they're breaching the border that it's making it easier for them to disappear, that it's making it harder for Border Patrol to really keep an eye on them and make sure that they're able to be where they need to be to get these people processed. And
yeah,
again, they're also coming through the port of entry, which they don't get marked on those numbers, but they're just surrendering there as opposed to having crossed the wall. So it's no different, but it's like their way of just trying to kind of hide the numbers as well, and act like it has slowed down, which it has, but it hasn't. And there's, they have the boats and the different ways that they come and just, come up onto shore and then get lost. I mean, because that's
Yeah.
our intention too, right? So it's like, the more people, I mean, like you were talking about your dad, I was trying to talk to my dad about it, and he's just not, you know, he doesn't understand what's happening. But I was talking about the federal government funding it, and he was like
Yeah.
so cognitively dissonant. He was like, no, so you're telling me that this is what's happening? And it's like, yeah, I mean, you got to understand, but these people don't want to also believe that our government doesn't love us, that they're not here to really help us, or they don't want us to thrive, right? They want us
Right.
barely surviving, so that we are dependent upon them, so that we rely on the information that they give, like, and kind of just go along with it. So it's very sad to see how many people are disconnected from that reality, because I feel like what's really going to happen is something bad has got to happen in order for them to really see
Yeah.
the problem with it, and
That's why, so you're saying that they time the pace and the surges,
yeah,
and do they also reroute their entry points? I
yeah, they
mean,
do. They
so
do.
who's communicating all of this? This is through the NGOs?
Yeah, the NGOs, but then the cartel. So the cartel
Yeah.
will like determine, like what's going on. And,
Yeah.
even the Mexican side is helping. So there was on the last border machine tour I did on last Saturday, we went to the port. I mean, well, we went to the port and saw a pickup, but then also we went to just where they're crossing at the wall there, and there was a family of four. It was a single mother with her three children, from the Yucatan. So you don't really see them from Mexico a lot. Like, that's the thing, is a
Yeah.
lot of people think, oh, they're Mexicans, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, they're actually not. Like, I mean, you'll find a few, but it's more few and far between. But the police had actually told her where to cross, and I was
Oh,
like, see,
because
that's
they're paid
interesting.
off.
Yeah, it's like, why would you do that? Yeah, go over here and then just go down to this area and wait. And it's like, what?
I
I
think
mean,
that's what people need to realize when they think that the government's there to protect us. It's
mhm,
like, no, these people in positions of power, they operate by the highest bid.
that's right.
So and unfortunately, from what I understand, is that the California Republicans are just as paid off as the Democrats.
Absolutely.
And I've heard that's one of the reasons why the Republican Party in California, they chose to have that the primaries. What is it called? Open primary.
I
They
think so, right.
they could have a closed primary where there's guaranteed to be the top Republican on the ticket, but they let that go. So now that you always have the top two people be Democrats,
Right.
and and even the ones that win, they redistrict their district lines so that the cartels can set their routes and their trafficking routes
Yeah, for
throughout
sure. Well,
California.
um, Jeff is on here, so Jeff, you should request to speak. But we were just last week when you were holding the space for with Ivan.
Yeah,
We spent the night on the border, and the Mexican, National Guard and the Army had come by twice during the day. And at first it was like I thought, oh, there's going to be a crossing. But because we were there, they basically didn't cross at the time, which is interesting because they still will. They will still do it when people are there and visually seeing it. But it was interesting that they wound up crossing after we left in the morning, like later on, and went into town, and Jeff was able to catch that. But it's like, it's just,
wow. So it
they're
makes a difference just the presence of a couple people. Can you imagine if you guys had a full time like rotating 24
right.
hour like 100 people?
Seriously. I mean, like,
Wow.
even if you had like a one person every 50 feet or something like that, I mean, even 100, I feel like, there, because when you have eyes on it, they start acting super fishy.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, well, what? I mean, you don't
Right.
want people to see, so you want to do it, in the darkness of night, or just where no eyes are on you.
And not just
But
eyes, but live
camera,
stream
yeah,
accounts that are going across the world.
they
Right.
can't refute what's happening if
Yes.
you're seeing that, right? And it's
Yeah.
like that's why too. I mean, like it's hard to even like so the even just that dog tag I found that was from a Muslim soldier, like that should have been on the mainstream news,
Right.
not because I found it, but because that's something that we should be concerned
Oh,
about.
can you imagine if that was discovered in like 2002, right after the 9/11?
Right.
I mean, everybody, the whole nation would be freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing what 23 years can do to a narrative, right?
Exactly. And it's like here we are, potentially set to have something really bad happen, and who knows how that is. I mean, they can mess with the
Right.
infrastructure. I mean, that's why, they're going to military bases and trying to, get inside them. And it's just it's very it's sad because, like, that's why I want people to understand too, like how dangerous this is. That
They can coordinate all the blue cities across the United States, find refuge, and have plenty of time to organize and basically plan out a coordinated attack.
absolutely. And
Straight up.
yeah, and they're already attacking like our friend Coyote Jeff, who's on the border that we had spent the night with there on along the wall. I mean, he was attacked by some illegals coming across, and it's like, what's going to happen with that? Probably nothing. That's what's so
Wow.
sad is that that can happen, and it's not a big deal. And then you see how many people have been raped and murdered, and just all the chaos that they're causing. And granted, like in the UK right now, it's like way more intense, I think,
Oh
but
yeah,
it's
Ireland.
still like right.
Well,
And
that's
well, just
coming. That's just a
exactly
glimpse of where we're going. We're not
right.
doing anything to stop that from
Uh-uh.
happening.
Uh-uh. Or doing more to facilitate more of it, you
Yeah, we're
know?
actually
And
funding it.
yeah, and then having, the Truth Act where it's like, here in San Diego, I mean, because when we're the sanctuary, city, state, or county, it's
Yeah.
like, the law enforcement isn't sharing information that they should, and they're not even allowed to like ask. And when they're talking about putting up surveillance in the city of San Diego, they're like, we just want to make sure that it's going to mask, like put a veil over it, like a blur, if it's anywhere near, like, say, an abortion clinic or an immigration center, because they're trying to
Wow.
protect these people. And it's like, okay, but then when something happens, like, what the heck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
How are you going to do your proper police report when one of these
right,
people commit a crime?
right. And that's like goes back to the 5-year-old that was raped, and they're not sharing the information of his ICE information because, we got to protect them. And it's like, okay, well, that should go out the window when you've actually raped some child, a 5-year-old. Like, what
Yeah.
on earth is going on? So,
No, it looks like we got Jeff up
yeah,
here. You feel free
Jeff.
to chime in. How you doing, Jeff?
Hey guys, good. Thank you. Thanks, X Town, for having me on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Audra, for inviting me on. I'm
Yeah,
literally on the border right now where they cross. I'm like in my
Wow.
Jeep, pointed at the spot where they crossed last night, where we caught them.
Wow.
And so I just have my drone up, and the Mexican federales are out here. The Mexican Army, I believe it is, probably from the camp that's about 3 miles behind me, where they're just tents and stuff. And so I put my drone up, and I was able to see where their trucks are at parked. I've never seen it before. It's like
right,
probably a mile away on a road directly in front of where they have cut the concertina wire on top of the border wall.
This
Right,
is
right.
on the Mexican side?
Yeah,
yeah,
on the like the border wall, they cut the concertina wire that's on top so they can put a ladder up and
Yeah.
get people over real quick, and then put ropes on them and rope them down, or use a ladder on our side so they can step down like they did yesterday. So yeah, this is it's happening right now. The Mexican Army was like literally walking by us, and I filmed them, and they took pictures of us, me and my friend out here, Pete. And so they're out there looking. They went up and down probably about half a mile, scouring the area. So they might have a tip on what's going on. Mexican Army is typically the most trusted of any military institution, like in Mexico. Like everyone on down basically is on the take. like National Guard on down, is what I've been told by.
They're all paid off.
Yeah, and so Mexican Army is basically the national army is the only people you can trust, is what I've been told by people who live in Mexico. So, and I believe it is National Army at the camp. I'm not sure. I'd have to like.
Yeah, it's the National Guard. I'm pretty sure.
Is it okay? Then they can't be trusted.
No, and they're because they'll come across where they are, and that's the funny thing is they'll come and look there, and there's those rape trees right across right there where they have the underwear and everything is the trophies to show like, like
territory.
Yeah, and
Good Lord.
when we were there waiting and we saw them, like one came at night and one came during the day. But I'm surprised, Jeff, you actually saw their trucks because remember we were looking before and you couldn't find them. It's like they just show up out of nowhere, like literally all of a sudden they're just right there, and it's like, oh my gosh, how the heck did you guys do that? I mean, I guess you're trained to per se, kind of be stealth, but when they're coming and they're looking where all these clothes are and those rape trees are, it's like, why aren't you stopping that from happening?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, I found out where they are. I filmed it. I'll post a video. So yeah, it's probably about a mile away on a road, and it looks like the dirt roads lead right to this spot where they come across.
Sure.
And so yeah, they've got 2 trucks out there, and guys all in like balaclavas. The National Guard, Mexican National Guard. So they didn't want to talk to us. Obviously, they're just like. He was like, I was like, hola, what's up? ¿Cómo estás? And he's like, looking at me like, what?
Well, last time they asked me what I was looking for, that was the only word they ever spoke. And then they walked away. So it was like, I don't know why you asked that if you're going to walk away right afterwards.
When they saw me like filming, like they automatically turned their backs so they didn't have their balaclavas on. And so then they put their masks on real fast. They're like, oh shit. And they wouldn't turn back around.
Wow.
So, but last night I was coming back from a scouting trip. It took days and days to find a new area where they're supposed to be coming in, a new invasion area, about 20 miles from me where I camp in Hatumba, California. So I got a hot tip from a Border Patrol agent, anonymous, and I searched for days. He said they're coming around these railroad tracks through a tunnel. And so I went out and searched, and I finally found it yesterday in the middle of nowhere in a bunch of mountain ranges. And I was pretty excited. And
tunnel opening?
A tunnel. It's actually a train
portal.
A train. They don't use trains on it anymore, but it goes from America into Mexico, and there's a tunnel through a mountain. And so I found the tunnel. And they've got it all like with border wall bollards on it and like concertina wire all over the tunnels because people were coming through. And so I filmed that, and then I went around and talked to one lone Border Patrol agent out there, and he told me they were coming through where the border wall ends, right by the tunnel, about a half mile from it or less, and. But I was at the tunnel, and there's like still clothes and water bottles there. They're obviously coming through this tunnel. So I came back. I was on my way back, and I just rolled up to the base camp here. I'm literally maybe a half mile from the border wall where they're crossing, and I literally can just see it from where I am, and probably less than a half mile. And so I rolled up, and then Pete texted me. He said they're crossing right now. So I just raced out right where they were, and was filming. I think I filmed the last guy coming over. He had neck tattoos all over, like hardcore looking dude. And I was like, asked him where he's from, and he just right in front of me just flips me off.
Wow.
I actually just dropped that in the jumbotron up top or whatever that's called.
I see that.
I was like, seriously, dude, if nobody else was here, if Border Patrol wasn't here, you know what I could do and get away with it? Like I literally beat the crap out of you. And I'd be justified because you just broke into my country. So yeah, you want to talk about some like cojones? Like, oh yeah, you want to flip my ass off, my shit off? Okay.
Well, it's just a clear indication of how they view what they're doing.
Oh, sure. Well, I've even been at the one of the sites where they take them, and these people were actually CBP One app. They go to a Jewish Family Services run facility, and I was just outside their gate filming, and he was flipping me off from inside, and I was like, holy crap. And I just right away, I put my finger out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, stop. And it was a reaction because I'm like, what is his problem? Like, they have this arrogance about them that's not good. You know what I'm saying? It's like they think that they can come in and kind of take over. I've even had some other ones in Jacumba. It was at Incopa, which is Moon Valley, where they were used to be crossing, not so much anymore. But he was looking at us like, what are you doing here? Like, don't film me. You have no right to do it. And it's like, dude, you just invaded my country and you're acting like I don't have a right to be here.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah, it's insane. And that's why you see what's going on in Ireland. You see the attitude that they have.
Oh yeah.
They're just going to
And
beat people up.
yeah, in the UK, I mean, it's like, and they're the police are almost protecting those people and going after the
Yeah,
citizens, you
they
know,
are.
and it's like, what is happening here? All of a sudden you've sided with the enemy, and like, how does that leave us with any kind of way to do something? That's why I feel like it's the people that are going to really have to be the ones that are going to take this nation back. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
because the
What?
powers that be don't want that to be.
So what do the Border Patrol guys say? I mean, they're just sort of trying their best. Are they paid off too, or they just feel like their hands are tied?
Well, it
Our
depends.
Border Patrol guys.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like, some of them will be willing to give you information on the DL, and some of them are, kind of look at you and they don't want you to be there. It depends. Like, even Jeff just got kicked off the border wall, like saying you can't be on the road. So, it depends on who you're speaking to. I've even had one where he was bringing some to the Catholic Charities run hotel in San Diego at the Ramada, and I've already seen him on the border, and he's kind of he's got an arrogance about him, but
Mm-hmm.
he was trying to hit me with his van because I told him they couldn't go through the gate right there. I closed it down. And there was another gate on the other side, said you got to go the other side. And he's like, what? And he kept like kind of like gassing the van and then breaking it, like trying to get me out of the way. And I'm like, no, dude, I told you, go down to the other gate. And he didn't
Yeah.
like that. And so he gets out and he went and asked the people at the gate, like the security, and they're like, yeah, you got to use the other gate. And he was just looking at me like with the death stare. And I thought, I can't wait to see you on the border again because I'm going to ask why you tried to run me over.
Right. Wow.
So they're just running as escort to the NGOs, basically.
Sometimes, yeah. Hmm.
So when I was in Lukeville, Arizona before this, I spent camped out 7 weeks out there, October to December in last year, and um, a lot of Border Patrol agents would talk to me. They were fed up though because that area had been inundated for 6 months when I got there, between 800 and 1,000 people a day coming from mostly the Islamic majority nations of Senegal and Guinea, and a very different type of crowd that was coming in there of invaders. And then the other people were coming in were from like a lot of Syrians were coming in. Less than 25% were from Hispanic or Hispanic family units. The rest were from around the world, mostly from Islamic African nations.
Are these families or just male?
No, they're men, all men.
Yeah.
Military age, like maybe 99%, I would say, were men.
Yeah.
Very young. I interviewed them. Some of them said they're joining our Marines and our military. I have those interviews. I'll look it up, put on the Jumbotron. And so, but most of the Border Patrol agents out there were so fed up and just angry because they'd been like left out to dry. Zero MSM went out there within the 6 months. In the 7 weeks I was there, I was the only person out there filming and letting people know. They were literally begging me to put stuff out because no one knew what was happening.
Wow.
And so they gave me tons of info, like off the record stuff that turned into amazing stories. Like all the Border Patrol agents were sick with a mysterious disease that even their doctors couldn't figure out. So they brought in specialists. Nobody'd heard about that. And so all kinds of stuff out there. But they were so pissed off that just because there was so much going on, and they're like, Biden could fix this like in a second just by signing one thing, like
Yeah.
the other, a month ago or whatever. I got a lot of good, I got good info from them. One guy did threaten to arrest me because I was right by the port of entry there, and everybody else said I could be there. 99% of the agents out there are cool, but once in a while you get a piece of crap.
Yeah.
He was threatening to arrest me, and I was like, whatever. You're probably working for the cartel.
Right.
And
Well, yeah, like, well, even a lot of them out here, I mean, again, it's not all of them, but when they kind of find out that you're not going to spin the story, because that's what they don't like either. They've been told to say, you got to call the media and then you can get information from there. Once they
Yeah.
see you, over and over, now like they're like, hey, Audra, or whatever, and they want you to come to expose what's happening because they're pissed off that they're being told to do the opposite. Like I've even thanked this one, it's like, thank you for, just kind of doing, like, at least doing what you can do. And he was like,
Yeah.
don't fucking thank me for this shit. And it's like, oh yeah,
Wow.
okay. I mean, because it's like they know, but then they'll come and show you stuff. Like I got to see one of the Chinese passports that was totally it was a that's what's the word I'm looking for. It was forged. It wasn't a legit one. And it
Yeah.
was really badly put together. But it was like, look at this shit, he was saying. He's like, this is the kind of stuff we have to deal with. And so they're frustrated because they're doing the opposite of what they were trained to do. What they've been told that they were supposed to do before is now like you release these criminals. And like other ones, will, like this one was talking to me about the kids and how he sees unaccompanied minors in every group. So it's not like you just don't hear about it. And that's what's sad. Like those should be part of the numbers. And that's one thing I've been meaning to do. And I need to talk to them about. I want to know the numbers every, weekly, so I can start sharing that of, how many did come across, because that's something that we should be concerned about too. And,
Yeah.
we have these NGOs that are coming and basically trafficking these children and they know it. And, what do they do about it? A lot of them are getting ready to retire. So they're like, I just want to kind of ride out the rest of my, career so that
I
I can get
know.
my
I hear that.
retirement.
It's
And it's like
just,
frustrating because it's like,
yeah.
but I mean, one of them I know has, an autistic kid. So it's like, how's he going to be able to provide if he quits all of a sudden and has to go get another? It's just like, that's what they want, is everybody up against a wall. So you make decisions that are based on that. And that you're like, I don't have a choice, just like COVID, right? Like everyone was like, well, I can't quit my job. Like, but they don't care that someone's trying to force them to inject themselves with a bioweapon and something that's really not good for you. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's very sad because I feel bad for them, but at the same time, I want them to stand up and do something. But at the same time, we need them to be like facilitating the processing of these people. So it's kind of a, catch 22. And then you also want ones in there that will be willing to give information, because there are so many that, and I think more newer ones that they would be hiring would be more kind of along the lines of like just going along with their job, doing what they need to do to, like help facilitate more of it. Whereas the other ones who have been there for a long time have seen the change in the way that they've been told what to do and what they were trained to do. It's really frustrating for them. And, but it's still good to have them on your side so that we can share this information and get it out to people and even get tips if you need to from these individuals. I mean, because some of them will be like, I'm following you, thank you for what you're doing. And it's like, oh, that's great. Like, and then they want to share more information. So like if you're out there and they're working, you can figure out where they're at. Whereas other ones, like, we'll go and be like, why are they driving all erratic? And, is something going on? And they're like, no. And then Jeff and I saw like them crossing in the middle of the night. It was like, why are you telling us no? Like, we don't have anything nefarious going on. We're just trying to tell the story to the world,
So you're
whereas,
talking about border patrol agents.
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, why wouldn't they want to get all the information they can from as many citizens as they can? And
Right.
did you say they're going erratic and they're going across the border?
Who?
Our border patrol?
Are they going across the
I
border?
thought
Oh,
that's what you said.
no, I'm not sure what I
Okay.
said at that, but
She,
no.
she said they're driving erratically, like they're like
Oh,
driving all over
yes.
fast and stuff like that, like they're get in a hurry to go somewhere. So
Yes.
Yeah,
that's how you know they're like
acting busy.
apprehending people.
Yeah, because all of a
Well,
sudden
that
you'll be sitting there and then you see a bunch of them drive real fast. Sorry, that's why I was like, what did I say?
Yeah,
Thanks,
yeah,
Jeff.
no.
But it's like, and so you'll think, well, something has to be going on because they don't usually drive that fast, and a bunch of them at one time. Then you go kind of where they're all met up and you ask them, like, hey, what's going on? They're like, nothing.
No, I see young cops do that to look busy, like they're on the Johnny on the spot,
Yeah. But then there'll be a crossing right after that. So I'm like, you just didn't want to give that information. That's what's frustrating. It's like you could have, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, And sometimes, like, that's the thing, is they'll be like, you got to step back. Whereas other ones where they are, have a better rapport with them, they're like, get as close as you need to and like share whatever. Like you can talk to them. Whereas before, like the first time I caught them doing a pickup, this one guy was like, you can't talk to them, because they've been detained, so at this point they're basically under arrest. You can film them, you just can't talk to them. Then once he was privy to who I was and appreciated it, he was like, oh yeah, get as close as you need to, you can talk to them if you want. So
Yeah.
but they're being told, because this is the whole thing they say is like that you have to go through media. Because I've even talked to some at a different location. It was out off of Barrett Junction, off of Cottonwood Bridge, which is one of the most dangerous spots, and there was always having ambulance and fire trucks because people needed rescuing a lot, because they would choose to go off the road and it would cause injuries. But there were 3 of them that had pulled up, and I was talking to a couple of them, and they were cool giving me information. I went to talk to this third one because I thought I don't want to leave him out, and I was getting ready to leave. And he was like, are you going to go for a hike? And I'm like, first of all, I have a cane. So I'm like, what? No. I said, it's way too hot, first of all. But I thought, maybe some other time. And then I said, I'm just trying to document what's going on. And then he goes, oh, yeah, no offense, but I can't talk to you. And I'm like, what?
Well, I just thought, because in New California, one of the main guys, he has a radio channel and he can issue press badges. Would it help if you had a press
Yes.
badge?
Yes, because I can't get one because the police in San
I can
Diego.
get you one. I can get
Yes,
you one.
please. So the police in San Diego, because I was beat up by the sheriff and arrested at a public meeting, told me that I couldn't get one because at first they said, well, why would you need to go past police lines? And then they sent me another email like 40 minutes later before I was even to respond to the other one. And they said, oh, well, we looked into it, and it turns out you're a threat to lab police, or to police and lab personnel, and you've been arrested before. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I was assaulted by the sheriff, and you're using that as a reason for me not to get a press badge? I was like, they'll use anything to try and silence the people. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm a threat to the police. Come on, I got a cane. Like, for real?
Well, it's because they're so corrupt. The
Yeah,
press is corrupt. The media is corrupt.
Your cane is like the weapon, the deadly weapon.
I know. I need to make it like a dart gun.
Oh, I know people that can in New California. Some of these ladies are like all trained up on like 50 ways to use a cane. I could connect you with them.
Seriously, because
Awesome.
it's like, oh my gosh, I almost wish I had a cane when he was beating me up. I'm just kidding, but it's like, he's like, yeah, I mean, what do you do when that happens? But it's sad. So I
Wow.
mean, if you can help with that, that'd be great.
Well, I think Paul, he's the pro tempore president, actually, or governor for New California right now, and he's been asking because he knows Ben Berquam, who's done a lot of work down there,
Yes.
and so I got a press badge from them for so he's happy to do that as long as it's for purposes like what you're doing. So
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll connect you with him for sure.
Dude,
Hey,
please.
Deplorable, you got anything to add? You're hearing this craziness, right? This is insane.
Yeah, no, how you guys doing? Eye of the storm and just Jeff, and what's up, brother?
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
No, I just kind of listening to you guys, and we know the bigger picture, and it's asking why the border patrol is not doing anything, and we know it goes right in line with, well, why when we have all these riots, either they go one way, the police or the law enforcement go one way, and they don't enforce it on the other side, is because either one of two things: they're either giving stand down orders, or two, we know they're hiring a bunch, whether it's DEI or foreign nationals, into their agencies, and they are complicit in what they're doing. And we know that the bigger picture at play is color revolution, trying to overthrow our government and overthrow our sovereignty.
Right.
So that's the 40,000-foot view of what's really at play and why they're doing, because they're trying to blend our nations and take away our sovereignty, and they're doing it. To me, they've already been successful because they've already have enough. How many in the last year? 3 million or something like that
Well,
over the border so far, and that's just in this last year, let alone the
supposedly
last 4.
there's like there could be up to 60 million. They're just not giving
Okay,
us the
see,
right numbers. You know what I mean?
right. Kind of like our financial situation. They say in California it's like, what was it? I think it was 70 billion, but it's probably really triple that. So,
But they also have huge coffers of money. That money just sits there.
right.
Because if you think about it, we would be way worse off if we were really that much of in a deficit. So it's like they hide money around and then they can, you know, do whatever they want with it, but it never goes towards what needs to happen. But it's like you could go and dip into those funds and actually make a difference, help homelessness, do whatever. But it's like you're sacrificing the people to, you know, give these people a carte blanche to the nation. And that's why they come, because they're like, I mean, I've met people who from Ghana, these guys, I mean, they had tons of money. They're like, they spent over 15,000 to come, had no money issues. That's what they were kept saying. And this one guy wanted to go stay in a shelter in New York. And it's like, what? What? You know?
Right.
Like, how does that
Well,
make
like,
sense?
look at our gas stations. I mean, at one point in you know, America, they were run by, you know, nationals, you know, Americans, true blue, red-blooded Americans. Now you go to probably 90% of your gas stations. Who are they run by? Why is that? Because we try to go get business licenses or get loans. They deny us, but they'll give a right to everybody else that's coming as foreign nationals.
Yep.
So, and to me, that I have a theory about that is, you know, they control the fuel. They control the fuel. They guess what? They control transportation.
Oh yeah, all resources.
And
They got to control it all so they
oh
can
yeah,
control the people, like the water. Oh, there's no water. We're in a drought. You can drill for water. There's endless water in the earth.
right.
Like, but as long as you tell them, I mean, they're giving us sewer water in San Diego. They're calling it pure water, and I'm like, no, that's
Right.
poo water. And they're willing to put all these like lye and all these chemicals and poisons in it, acting like, well, it's the only thing we can do because we don't want to buy water from anywhere else. And it's like, but you sell water too. What is wrong with you guys? I'm like, you're literally, but they have to do that because they don't want us driving either. That's why they have the gas so
Right.
high. They literally want people to walk and bike and take public transit in your 15-minute city.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
Well, and fuel's the same way. That all that fossil fuel BS, that's all fake science.
Yes.
There's no
Yeah,
it comes
no,
out. When I was
scarcity.
deployed in Iraq, dude, like I would drive down the road on missions, and it would be literally coming out of the ground like water.
Yeah.
It was little ponds of it everywhere.
It's like the blood of the earth. You
Right.
know, and
Absolutely.
it replenishes just like water. And it's like, but as long as you think there's a scarcity, they're like, oh, this is how much this barrel costs. We got to raise the price because otherwise, it's manufactured chaos and destruction.
Right.
And it's like, that's what people need to understand so that you can see the world around us isn't what you thought.
Right.
Because that's
And you know, and it could compound up. One last thought is, and this is why, you know, me and Chris, we're very close, New California State brothers, and you know, he knows my views, and I think that's why it just it gives me further resolve, and it confirms to me the bigger picture this year in an election year, outside the monkeypox, outside the birth, outside of the assassination, outside of all these false flags. That look. We thought what we saw in 2020 was big with the domestic protests, the domestic insurgents. Now this year, they're going to unleash the foreign invaders and infiltrators and the cells and the, you know, these factions that are embedded in our country. And guess what? Now these people they're not even American. These people will chop our heads off with spoons, and that's what's coming next. And the civil discord is going to be to the umpteenth level this time.
Oh, yeah.
So,
when they call them Americans, they're like, once they cross the border, they're Americans. And it's like, what?
right.
So as long as they think that, but what I think too is like when you're saying that is like they'll turn on us for wanting to protect our nation, just like they already have, right? And be like, you guys are the ones that are causing the problems. These people have every right to kind of be doing what they're doing. It's just like with the BLM crap, right? When they're just like burning down cities, destroying them, and they're just like, this is a like, they weren't saying it was like, I can't think of the word right now, but they were acting like it was totally just benign. And then you have someone having some kind of
Mostly
rally,
peaceful
like,
protests.
yes, mostly peaceful. And it's like, don't believe what your eyes are seeing. And it's like, they're so good at that.
Well, you know, one city,
That was crazy. That CNN shot where the dude's reporting from the 2020 riots, and there's fire and buildings all on fire. He's like, this is mostly a peaceful protest. Like,
you know, one city got calm, like when they're rioting, and that was after that kid.
Oh yeah, Rittenhouse or whatever.
oh yeah, Rittenhouse.
Right.
Yeah.
It got calm. It got pretty quiet over there.
So that's what we need, though, right? It's like, that's why they want to
I'm
take our
saying,
guns. I mean, they want to take.
Well, look at well,
Yeah.
And look at Tim Walz in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Look what he just did. He just changed the Minnesota flag to a
Yes.
Somali flag.
Right. Oh, let me change this
That's
out.
the agenda.
This is right.
Yeah.
This is better. It's like, oh my gosh. And he's not the only one. I can't remember who else did that, but someone else did that as well.
Well,
And it's very telling.
hey,
Yeah.
if you're a listener and you want to ask questions or you have any comments, just raise your hand. This is, as you can probably tell, I mean, this is extremely, to me, the border, it's extremely serious. The border and the election process, to me, I just don't understand why we all aren't coordinating and fixing this. Because it's not like, Governor Abbott, right? He made that declaration to secure his border, and they secured it. I mean, I'm sure there's people coming through, but this problem can be fixed, and we're completely on constitutional ground, completely legal, moral, ethical. But why
But
we don't fix this is just, I don't know. If you have kids, I don't know how can you can look in their eye, and if you're not doing anything about this, like, I hope you don't sleep at night, because I mean, this is going down like big time right now.
I don't know how you can. Like, I mean, it's
Well,
just in that.
we got. To me, we had, and I know Chris, you're kind of against this, and I'm not a violent man. I've been to war, done all that, but by deep rooted inside of me, I fear God, and I don't want to hurt anybody. But if we take it back to Old Testament and how things had to happen in order to restore nations and make them God fearing again, is you got to wipe out. I mean, they wiped out generations for a reason, entire cultures and generations of them. And to me, I feel that we need to do something drastic, and it may be not so much to take life, but to yank these foreign invaders and these infiltrators, these subverters out of their homes, hold them accountable, put them in prison cells, and until we do that as a nation, I mean, this is they're going to keep going. They're going to keep going. They're going to keep going because we're not doing anything. We're not
Well,
doing anything, like you said.
or we're the ones that are going to be ripped out of our homes because they're going to want
Right.
to take
Right.
over whatever we have.
No, it's going to be too late.
And exactly. And that's what my concern is that, before, like, until, like, people aren't going to see it until something like that happens, until things pop off. And it's like, that's not where we should be. And we should be the ones going in and making sure that, things are taken care of. And I feel like, people are kind of on the fence about that. It's almost like they just don't want to believe it's a reality that this is as bad as it is.
Right.
Because, again, they try and keep everyone up against a wall. Like, you got to be too busy just trying to have your family survive so that you're not really paying attention to what's going on around you. So then, they can just kind of feed you this watered down version of like, no, it's no big deal. And then before you know it, boom, like just like that, all of a sudden we're going to be in the throes of a civil war. And it could be like worldwide, because at this point, it's happening everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. England, Venezuela, El Salvador. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's literally going on. Bangladesh. It's
Yes.
happening everywhere. And to me, we are going to go the way the rest of the world is going. It's a preview.
Yep.
But the reason why is because we have about how many 200 million Americans armed to the tooth. So they have to be really careful and really strategic and tactful on how they do this, because they know if they just try to do it like they're doing in these other countries that they're unarmed, it's going to get really ugly really quick.
Oh yeah.
No, I mean, I hear you, deplorable. It's just that I think people need to learn to. We haven't used up all of the other options yet, but yeah, if we're just going to stay, with our, football and TV and vacations and comfortable life, and it's going to reach that point where it's going to get violent on us, and so.
And that's not something that we want, right? It's like, it's just something.
No, that's actually
coming.
what they want.
Yes.
And they also want us to get violent and crazy and just fire up into a open town and act like we're some patriot, and And then the media, of course, can label, oh, this is the first part of this right wing extremists, and it's going to be everywhere on the news, and that's all we're going to see. And he's a Trump supporter, and then
It's
they're
their
just going to,
fault.
yep, we've
They're the ones
started the
that did
war,
it. Yeah, yeah.
and they'll be justified to bring in their full tactical police, all their cronies, whoever they can. I mean, then it's just going to be a point of what police, what sheriff are going to stand down against unconstitutional orders, and
I mean, definitely not in
that's where we're
San
going.
Diego. But if you think about it too, shoot, what was I going to say?
Well, let me
Yeah,
ask you, what kind of support are you getting from the San Diego either city or county? Any at all?
I mean, some like from different people, but the sad thing here is that, and this is what I found out by just going to public meetings like I do, where they want to arrest me all the time, which is fine. But there, I thought there would be more support because it's like, this is right on our front door. It's happening
Yeah.
right here. But there are a lot of illegals that are in San Diego. And I found that out because we had a storm where they were cloud seeding, whatever. It's a different
Yep.
topic, but it was manufactured, and the city and the county didn't take care of the infrastructure for like a decade, and so it caused a bunch of flooding, and people lost a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of stuff. And so when I go to the meeting, I'm like, how can all these illegals get free hotel stays? You guys are like barely giving the people who lost everything in the storm just like they were deciding, do they get 1, 2, or 3 meals a day? I'm like, is that a question? Like, you should be giving them everything that they need because you guys failed to do what you needed to do. You had
Yeah.
money that you were supposed to spend on the infrastructure, you didn't do it, and now the people are suffering, which now they're going to tax people more to fix what needs to upkeep this crap. And I'm like, okay, so because you guys failed, you're going to charge the people more. That's your MO. But these people came in and they were like, this doesn't have anything to do with immigration and all this. And I'm like, what is their problem? Like, oh my gosh. And I went out in the hallway with some ladies because they were getting a little aggressive. And I thought, I'm just trying to, I said, I'm defending you guys because I feel like you should be getting, if not the same, more. And
Yeah.
you're not even getting the same. And they're like, well, my family, like, they want to bring people across. And they said that many of the people in the storm are actually don't have documents. And so they're afraid to come forward and speak. And it's like,
So they
then
play the
they got a full
victim.
reality check. And I was like, oh my gosh. So how do you deal with that? How do you reconcile that the people that are coming across illegally, bringing their families illegally, have lost everything and are trying to regain whatever they lost? Do they deserve that just as much as the people who are actually citizens here? I mean, that's where I
Wow.
was like, wow, that was a culture shock, or like just a huge shock to me to understand that. But that's why I'm like, okay, now I see why more people aren't upset. So there's support, but there's also a lot that isn't because they don't see it as a problem, and they, in fact, want to bring more and more of their family across.
Wow.
So
We
I was
got
like,
Andrew here with
yeah.
his hand up. How you doing, Andrew?
Hey, what's up, man? I actually forgot what the hell I was gonna say, but I mean that was eye of the tiger there. I think like
Storm.
took me off.
I had a storm, but hey, either one.
It took me off my it took me off my game there. Like I had a whole like list of things I was gonna say, but it's obviously very important that people understand how dangerous it is when you bring all these people into the cities and into the communities, and they're absolutely unvetted. I mean, I'm out here on the East Coast, and basically it's like a 4-week delay from when you guys have the footage and when you guys have the information. All of a sudden it happens here after that. um they're making no sort of like changes in the laws as far as
Mm-hmm.
shelter state, as far as any sort of laws.
Sanctuary cities and all
Exactly,
that.
it's
Yep.
not even sanctuary cities. It's a shelter state. They have laws that anyone comes in the state and they house them, and now they're
Hmm.
kicking them out after 5 days. People are probably going to be living in the woods underneath overpasses. The general public is still in the dark. They literally don't understand the dangers that are coming into their communities. Venezuelan gangs coming into local cities around my area. It goes on, and whether they wake up or not, I'm pessimistic actually. So
Right.
who will they? I mean,
They will when that's
Well,
at their front door and they're asking for their kids to come out so they can rape them.
Right.
right. And then what just happened? Was that city, that town in Arizona? Didn't they just kick out? They kicked out a whole entire apartment complex of citizens just to put in these unvetted foreigners.
Right. Was it
They just came
Arizona?
over the border.
Was it Arizona or
Yeah, I think.
somewhere else? Because either if it's Arizona, they also did that somewhere else too. I just posted about it. I can't think of the location, but yeah, they're kicking out people that, or even even in England, they're like, we're going to give housing to these people over like 1 million people that have been on a wait list.
Yeah, evicting naturalized or natural, native-born citizens, evicting them out of their
Like
places and putting in these
just so
foreigners.
I'm clear, like these are because I've heard this too, and I mean I've seen videos, and it's just still hard for me to wrap my head around. So these are people that have been paying their monthly rent, and they're
Hmm.
just delivered in an eviction notice without any reason other than they're being replaced by foreign
Right,
illegal
because the
immigrants.
state, those states or those, I'll probably slur this, municipality or whatever,
Mhm.
right? That territory's
Governing
governing
body, yeah.
body hands over that authority over to the state or whatever, and they obviously then the state can do whatever. They can take over by all legal authority, and so they take over that entity, that apartment complex, and say, hey, we're using this to house these foreign citizens or these foreign nationals. So because we have this authority,
It's
we're
basically
kicking
like
everybody out.
eminent domain, but it's for
Right.
Right.
illegal
Correct.
immigrants.
Well, but and think about that.
Beautiful.
Like, what
Yep.
a better way to sow discord with the people,
Yep.
right?
Oh
You're
yeah,
going to piss the people off that are like, what?
completely destabilize.
Yeah. And it's like, but so they can manufacture stuff, even just like, and I wanted to say this because I meant to before and I couldn't think of what I was going to say, but with Abbott, how he's maybe, closing the board, but then at the same time, like you're sending people out to all these other sanctuary.
Oh right, I
So,
know.
so it's like, how is that any better? Because you're,
No, that's facilitating trafficking.
yeah, I'm like, I mean, sure, on one hand, it looks good what you're doing, but then you're still perpetuating the problem by doing that instead of,
Yeah.
figuring out a different way. Like, oh, I'm just going to put it in their hands. They wanted this. And it's like, okay, so some of the people maybe did, but they're not
No, send
understanding.
them back to Mexico. You don't
Yeah,
send them to another state.
exactly. And that's the thing too. Mexico will deport these people a lot of times, many times. They go through Mexican immigration before they come across. You can see their documents being discarded. And it's like, they'll even send them on a 3-day, but like that's what one of them said at in Boulevard where the National Guard and the immigration is there sitting and waiting for people to cross. And I asked him if I crossed, he was saying he'd deport me. And I'm thinking, would you send me to Tabasco before the American? Like I'm right here next to America. Could you just let me cross back over? But he said that they'll do a 3-day bus ride back to Tabasco. And so many of them that I've talked to will have like continued to come back even after having that kind of deportation happen to them. So it's still not anything it's just for show almost. You know what I mean? It's not really doing anything. You're just sending them on a bus ride to potentially come back at a different time.
Well, and they'll be getting paid again when they
Yeah.
come back. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I'll just cash in again. And the NGOs they're getting money off
Yeah.
of giving the money.
Yeah.
So it's a complete racket. Yeah, I
So,
know. You've got to stop this. Like, I don't know. I mean, there's multiple levels. We talked about the media. What about the NGO situation? To me, that's the worst because you're actually incentivizing this whole thing.
oh yeah. And they're the ones that like they'll know out in Jacamba like when they're coming. Even sometimes in
Yeah, they're
San Diego.
coordinating
Yeah.
routes.
And I'm like, this is super weird. Yeah, they're giving all the like the paperwork that they give and it's all telling them to come right here. And they are the worst because they're the ones who basically control the government and are like, we need more money for this. If you want us to take care of it, it's like their own mafia, where they're
Yeah.
dictating what needs
Well,
to be done in order to facilitate.
and I don't know if you guys have done research. I remember researching the Red Cross and HIAS, the Hebrew Immigration Agency, a couple years ago, and I was from my research, it looked like those were started I mean, they were considered humanitarian, but from the very beginning, I think, and I don't have all the proof on this, but they're basically trafficking agencies.
Yes, that's absolutely what they are. And they may have started under like at a time. Remember, Mayorkas started highest.
Yeah,
He's the one that started all the stuff for the children, like trafficking of these kids.
yeah,
It's like there's so many of them, and a lot of them do it under the guise of like again a humanitarian thing, but also under some kind of religious guise. And I'm like, you are using that in order to do really nefarious things. And that's what's so sad is that, again, they go and try and fight for money that any kind of money they can get to do some kind of humanitarian effort. But if
right,
you're
right.
looking at, because it goes all the way to the top, it's like, okay, so the Rothschilds own the Vatican, the
Uh-huh.
Catholics, right? So the Jews own the Catholics because they're the ones that have the money and they're the ones giving the money.
Right.
And so from the top down, they're doing these things, and like the Catholic, it's like the Catholic Commission on something of bishops.
Storm, your audio is kind of really grainy. I don't know if that's just me.
I don't know, is it?
That's a lot better.
Okay. But the Catholic charities or the Catholics, it comes down from the top. They have a Catholic Commission on bishops and stuff like that. And so in all of their churches, they're trying to implement this like migration type of refugee help. And so they go
Right.
through and it's coming down from the top down. And
Yes.
so everyone implements it, and it's like, but it all has to do with like money, and it's very sad to see that they do it under the guise of like some kind of religious
Pretense.
yeah, and it's like that's
Well, that's the perfect play. That's the perfect play.
Yeah,
I mean,
humanitarian and religious.
yeah.
Like,
yeah,
how can you go wrong?
Red
Perfect
Cross.
cover.
Red Cross comes from the upper echelon of the
Well,
Catholic.
yeah.
Right.
Red Cross, Rosicrucian.
Yeah.
right.
And it goes
Right.
back to the late 1800s. It's really old.
For sure.
Julie, we got your hand up. Hey, Storm, I'm just gonna put you down and bring you right back up. I don't know if it's on my end, but I'll bring you right back up as speaker. Okay.
You're good.
What's up, Julie?
Hey, you guys, great space. I just jumped up
Thanks.
to introduce myself to those of you from Southern California. So I'm in Northern California, Butte County, and pretty much I'm fighting whatever corruption we've got going on up here. We don't have too much on the illegal, alien side or the border stuff yet, but we're fighting a bunch of corruption with our county public health department and a lot of stuff with the DA's office. So I put a couple of our recent videos and our recent battles down in the bubble, but mostly
Cool.
just wanted to come and introduce myself and say, hey, and, go California.
Always.
Wait, you don't have a bunch of Canadians trying to cross the border? That's crazy.
Exactly.
Where's the rest of the Butte County crew at?
I know. Well, I don't know where Red Pill is, so I didn't bother to tag her in, but I should have brought her in here.
Yeah, we love having her on. Cool. Yeah, thanks for joining, Julie. Yeah, this is wild. I mean, this and the election thing is just I'm speechless. I don't get it. Like, you can hand count an election in one night for a tenth of the price with zero fraud,
Right.
and it's all on camera, and it's cheaper, it's easier, it's better. But yet we got to use these machines with parts made in China when we can't access the tabulation machines, and it takes us 3 times longer and 10 times more expensive. But hey, we want to eliminate human error, right? It's like, however you look at it, we're getting so played. I don't like to be played as a fool, and I know people on this space don't either. And the border issue is the same thing. We send our I'm going to go a little rant here, but you guys know we've done all these overseas wars. Our men have died overseas for other countries' borders, just like Storm has said, and they come back instead of vets being respected and given aid. Some of them probably go become border patrol agents, and they realize they can't even defend their own country's border. It's like, what the hell is wrong with us?
Yep.
Anyway,
Well,
Sad.
well, if I could piggyback off that, so I just I don't know. It's like being a veteran and having and carrying that oath It's going to be with me till I die. And I tell you right now, you could ask anybody. Again, you could ask anybody that I've served with. I buck the system every chance I get. If I was given, I felt like anything on a lawful order or I didn't respect it, I didn't care who you are. I didn't care if you're a master sergeant, a first sergeant, a commander. I told you. And I would put it to them. I said, I don't agree with that. And it really comes down to it. Well, it boils down to, where do your laurels lie? Where does your loyalties lie?
Right.
Where is your integrity? Yeah, you're right. You get hired onto an agency, and I get it. You're given unlawful orders, or you're given an action plan, but it doesn't mean you have to follow through with it.
Right.
Hold your ground, have some integrity, have the internal fortitude, and say, no, I don't like that, sir. That's an unlawful order. I'm not doing that. I'm going to do my job, and if you want to kick me out, then that's what you do. But that's where we're failing as a nation.
Yeah.
We're not doing that,
Well, and
I
like
agree.
and that's why I got out.
holding the line was what America was always about, and it's kind of interesting to see how it's gone,
Right.
where it's like, oh my gosh, okay, is America not about that? Because I thought that we would be the ones that would be the first to go, like, not today, not in my town, this is not going to happen. And all of a sudden, it's like everyone's just kind of pussyfooting around, going like, well, I gotta just, I gotta keep my job. They're making all these excuses instead of going, I'm going to stand in the gap because this is what needs to happen. It's
Yeah.
very like contradictory to what America was always about, and what they were always afraid of us for.
Yep.
Amen.
Hold the line. Hold the line.
Well, and when our sheriff here in Butte County took a knee during the summer, we're like, what the hell? What are you doing? And then,
Coward.
oh, it's
Yeah.
horrible. I'm like, okay, Butte County's lost. And I know Sheriff Honey, and I try to, what is wrong with you? I mean, seriously. And then he did an advertisement for the vaccine. He's totally backing public health. He's, making sure that his prisoners, I'm like, what are you doing, Sheriff? I met with him and I don't get it. I'm like, but he's a lost cause. I had so much faith.
Because he's a coward, and I have no respect
100%.
for any of those gentlemen.
But
Or
look
he
what
doesn't
they've
have a
done to the
brain.
men too. But look what they've done to the men, where it's like the soy boy, the kind of like emasculating of the men to
Mm-hmm.
make them like, all the DEI crap, and being like, yeah, we're gonna have all these like people in the military that are, cross dressers and all, and do what you want on your own time. But it's like, we can't expect them to go and do what the men need to do. You know what I mean? Like, there used to be just the men that would like stand and hold the line. Now, if I found during COVID, there was more women kind of speaking out and being the
Yeah.
ones that are kind of standing in
Mama
the gap.
bears.
Yeah, and it's like, what the heck? I mean, it's like a contradiction to everything that we
It's
were.
like that one. Who's that Russian KGB, ex-KGB guy? Basically, he laid out the long-term game of demoral.
Yuri Bezmenov.
Oh, back in the
Yuri
exactly. It was
Desmanov.
back in the 80s,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, yep.
ideological subversion or demoralization, and you just gradually weaken the integrity and the conscience of the people. And he's like complete. This video was in the. I'll post it on the bubble later, but it was 40 years ago, and he says we're completely confident in 40 years we can completely undermine the United States of America. You just do this. First is you destabilize, then you I forget the 4 steps, but you basically demoralize the people so that they're so weak that they'll just accept being invaded.
That's right.
And here we are.
How do you destroy a country from within? And how do you do that? And every which way and every wartime element of warfare that they're and you emasculate the man, you prop and I'm not don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying anything degrading towards women, but you prop up the women to be supreme over men, and that's what we're seeing, and that's why you hear the rhetoric of, now they're going to start maybe possibly having women, for the selective service, giving them giving them powers of authority within the military structure, ranking structure, and it's all goes into self-destruct mode. And you get these, like you said, these soy boys that are sissy men. It all goes together. Again, color revolution. How do you overthrow a country? How do you overthrow a government? That's exactly how you do it.
Exactly. Well, and think about should we go to standing? Okay.
Yeah, sure. Hey, what's up, Stan Citizen?
Okay, hey, I appreciate it, guys. Hopefully everybody's having a great evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. What I will say is that we pretty much, I am obviously an American. I'm down here also in San Diego County, and it's been very disheartening to watch what's going on at the border. Yeah, I did briefly in that purple pill talk about how I believe that us as Americans need to really come to a consensus as to what it means to be an American. You guys are talking about the NGOs, you're talking about the border patrol agents that are going along to get along, all that type stuff. This is obviously another symptom of really this situation that we've allowed, essentially, my opinion, socialism to really integrate into our and really secular humanism, and when it boils down to it.
Yep.
But what I will say is this: those wars that you guys just referenced a few minutes ago, we tried to spread democracy in probably like 65 foreign wars, I believe, since World War II. And we've actually failed every time. I actually have a friend of mine who was one of the boat people that came across from Vietnam. Vietnam is now pretty much obviously a communist country. And so there's bigger things at play here. We are dealing with people that they definitely have to have America fall. Okay, America was the opportunity for mankind to stand up, be responsible, not live under a authoritarian, totalitarian government, all that type stuff. I was listening to a video just the other day where this was going back 30 years now. At that point in the game, there was, according to this man, who I believe was obviously telling the truth, 20 million people that were government employees. So think about that. Maybe 320 million at the time, but 20 million of them were essentially people that were part of this system. Okay, we need to figure it out. We need to adjust our priorities. These people that are coming across the border, I mean, straight up, we beat the shit out of a lot of those people's countries for many, many years. We literally are dealing with problems where now these people, what they are escaping, are essentially bringing to America. Okay, they're expecting free shit. They're expecting the opportunity to have prepaid credit cards and all this type stuff. And that is 100% not what America was supposed to be. America, we need to be better than this. And I've watched this decline for many years now. And we need to adjust our priorities. We need to be responsible. We need to come up with a game plan that really works for everybody. And what I believe needs to happen is we need to put the politics aside. We need to come up with a solution that literally resonates with every individual, taking the money out of the political campaigns. It's real simple, providing an opportunity for a man like me to run for office, not have to get in bed with lobbyists, not have to search for donations, engineer a responsive and responsible society. The byproduct of that would be a responsible government. We live in an extremely connected society. Here I am talking on my rectangle square smartphone to you people that are probably all across the world, all across the United States.
Where are you at, brother? Just so we know.
I live in Rainbow,
San
Diego County.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, I got a couple of friends in this room right now, so it's cool.
Sweet.
But I've been to the border. I've seen what's going on. It is tragic. And this is ultimately a plan. It's an attack on America, because America, once again, was an opportunity for us as human beings to not live under a Caesar, a Pharaoh, an oppressive government. But we've completely shit the bed. I look at that NGO situation. That says it all.
Yeah.
Everything that Eye of the Storm was talking about is completely true. Okay, all these and Jeff and all these NGOs, these people that are willing to sell us out.
Yeah.
For what? They're
right.
I mean, so we gotta be creative here. We gotta start looking at solutions. I don't know. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, to
Let let's
piggyback off you, is
yeah, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, it's not a plug, but it kind of is. And that's why I truly believe that the only solution we have left, because my firm belief is the federal side of things is lost. It's too corrupt. I don't care which way you look at it, and I'm just that's how I feel. I don't care which side you pick. It's
DC
so
is so
lost.
gone.
It's right. And so the only way to fix this and right the ship is by state
And
activism.
county
And
by
that is
county, yeah.
county by county, and that is freeing ourselves in a sovereign way, state by state. And if we do that, and we can accomplish that, that's why you have multiple states doing the same thing we are. We have New California, New Nevada, New Illinois. We have New Oregon, and probably I mean we're the furthest along. If we can make this thing successful, then that sets the precedent, and those dominoes will start falling. But if we can do this and pull this off, then guess what? Our federal government will be restored, because now you'll have representation the way it was meant to be, and that is a constitutional republic where folks like you said, like yourself, can run for office. You run for office, you do your duty, you go home to your job and sleep in your bed at night, and you're paid. You might be compensated very mildly, but you're not going to be a 100% everyday politician. You represent your constituents from where you're from, and you go back home.
Well, and the money's
But
not
it
going to,
starts by the states.
yeah, and the money's not going to determine like which way you go. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that's what they
Correct.
want, is to be like, we're going to buy you so that you do what we want. And it's funny because
Right.
it's like, that's why I'm saying it's sad to see that America isn't standing together and doing, I mean, what you thought, like everything that we represent, because these other people who, have these nefarious agendas on both sides work very well together, and they hate each other. They
Right?
freaking hate each other. And look at how good that they, like, the fruits of their labor. Whatever they're doing, they succeed at it. And it's like, imagine if we were all joining together and doing what needed to be done to preserve our nation and make sure this doesn't happen. Oh my gosh, we could change it just like that in the flip of a switch. But it's like,
Yeah.
because we're not like doing that for many different reasons, this is able to flourish and perpetuate. So it's like, I just know that if we did stand together and did what we needed to do, county, city, like start even small, city or town, like, and then go into the county and then go into the state and other counties, whatever it is, it would be so easy to do. But we're so dysfunctional on this
Well, because we're
side.
the Roman circus.
Yeah.
We're the Roman circus.
Yes. It's,
Oh, go ahead. Go to your Dodger games. Go to your
yeah.
Cowboy games. Oh yeah, go to that MMA fight
Yeah.
where all your
Yeah, and
your
sing
gods.
"Land of the Free, Home of the Brave" nice and real
Oh my
loud
God.
before you watch it.
Well, that's the thing. Even like if I go to a public meeting, and I only do it because I don't believe these people understand what the Pledge of Allegiance is, or pledging allegiance to the
Yeah,
Republic.
they don't
I
know what
don't stand
allegiance
up for that.
means.
I literally sit down and I'm like, I don't care what you think about me, but none of you know what this means. You're sitting here talking about a democracy while you're pledging to the Republic and all of this stuff. So I'm like, I'm not going to
Right.
participate. And then they have some invocation of some like demonic person coming and like pretending to like, oh, we just want, may the like council here like do the work and for the people. It's just a facade. And I'm like, I am not going to participate, because everyone just stands up. It's like we've been indoctrinated to just kind of do that. And I'm like, no, we should be standing for what's right. If you guys are doing the total opposite, I'm not going to stand with you and pledge to something that I don't know who you're pledging to right now, because it's not
Right.
America.
Our
Right.
chairman of Butte County Supervisors, he always goes, and now we need a moment of silence. And I always go, for all the people that you've murdered, for all the people you've killed in this county. I said all
Nice.
the time.
Exactly.
Nice.
It's ridiculous.
I've actually been to a lot of those meetings as well. What I will say is this: government is supposed to run very, very slowly. And essentially what happens is those public comment type opportunities that people have to voice their concerns, their opinions, their reservations, whatever, regarding any sort of agenda item, it is literally nothing but formality.
Yeah.
We have those people are propping up our lifestyle in America. And I know that's a tough pill for everybody to swallow, but we've gotten to the point where they've printed money so much. It goes from the federal government. It goes from the banksters to the federal government, obviously as debt notes. then it gets distributed to the states. The states then have to take it to the county or your local municipality,
Or
that
the
type of thing.
NGOs, yeah.
The end. Well, yeah, sure, man. It's so we're dealing with such an incredible. I mean, just it's not even it's there is no political solution to this. Okay, all everybody that's putting their hope and faith in men, I got to tell you, I was instructed to not do so. Okay, but what I will say is this: is that if America looks ourselves in the mirror and decides to correct our ways, repent. How about that? Then
Yep.
maybe we can choose a direction that's actually going to be paying dividends for the society that we're looking to live in. I mean,
Amen.
I mean, it even goes as far as this whole AI thing. We all have to just recognize that this AI thing is it's very scary in many respects, for me at least. Okay,
Yeah, totally is.
I'm just an electrician, so I mean, whatever, man. A robot ain't gonna do my job, so I mean, that's fine. But what I'm saying is that we need to figure it out, the type of society that we want to exist in. Anyhow, I'm gonna let you guys stew on that. Thank you.
No, yeah, no, I like what you said earlier too, Standing Citizen, about getting creative because I mean, there's a research arm to this. There's a practical, communication, information arm to it, and obviously there's kind of an enforcement arm to it. But these NGOs, Eye of the Storm. Now, um, you know what these NGOs are. What are some like creative tactics that we can do to expose these people and get some awareness?
Well, I think just shining light on it, because
Yeah.
they hate that. Like, I was just when we were down at the port of entry, and the bus is there waiting to go pick up these people that are coming across from the CBP One app. I go up to the bus and I said, "When are you going to go pick up these people over here?" And he's like, "I'm not going to do that." And I'm like, "You're not. So you don't pick up the CBP One app individuals?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "You work for Demerits, right?" "No, you don't. What's this bus day? That's so weird. Why does it say that?" And then I turn around and it's Jewish Family Services. And they asked, like, "Can I help you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just wondering if you're going to pick up these people." And they're like, "We got to get out of here." I said, "Because I know you're going to actually bring them to your 4902 Pacific Highway location." So for the most
Yeah.
part, I think exposing them in
Yeah.
every town and city is imperative, because the more we bring light to what
Light.
they're doing and
Exactly.
showing how they're being so secretive, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, literally, I've been able to stop a bus at one of the hotels from leaving. I could have sat there all day long. And I was like, I'm one person just sitting here in front of the gate saying, "You're not leaving. I'm not going to let you leave." Like, just to impede the process. Because I'm like, that's all we have to do is impede the process of it, and not in a violent way or anything like that. It was just to, show that we have more ability to change things than we believe, because they want us to believe that we're just these, like, benign individual that have no power, that are just like
Yeah.
here as a blip on
Exactly.
the radar. And it's like, when we realize that we have a lot of power, I'm like, how can I stop a bus full of people? They're not leaving. And then all of a sudden, because they're like, "How long are you going to be here?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'll let you know." And then afterwards, everyone, like, I was like, "Okay, well, you guys can go ahead and come out." And so I let them out. But it was like, and I don't feel like, oh, I'm
That's
so
power.
powerful, but it's in a way of like, we can be the change that we want to see.
Amen.
We just have to do it.
And just to put a plug in for the gospel, like we think that, oh, I've got to like be a good person to go to heaven. It's like Jesus didn't. That's not why he died. He died to win complete victory over Satan. And
Amen.
right now, if you believe in that blood and you believe that that blood was shed for you, you have the God's ear. And you are coming from a place of victory over Satan. You've already won victory over the most evil, powerful force in the world. So people need to, it is a complete, that's what they don't want us to know, that we actually
No.
already have the victory. We just
Yes.
need to walk it out.
Yes, we're supposed to do the work. Like,
The
God
feet,
can't do
yep.
it. I mean, he can
Boots
do
on the
it
ground.
without us. He could snap his fingers and everything would be fine, but he uses us to facilitate
Amen.
what needs to happen.
Yeah,
And
don't
that's why,
just go to church and be,
no,
warm your pew and feel good about what a nice sermon that was. Be
be that.
part of the living body of Christ. Yeah.
Yes. Embody that. That's why I was going to bring up 2 Corinthians 7, 6, 14 through 16 of like, if we turn away from our wicked, I'm not repeating it exactly, but
Yeah.
turning away from our wicked ways, God will cleanse our land. It's like,
Yes.
even in just that, like, let's stop doing all of these nefarious things or engaging in them or allowing them to happen. And everything could flip on a dime. But it's like, if we're not willing to do
Hmm.
that and turn away from this evil, he's not going to want to do that. And we're going to have to go through some really tough times because
Yep.
he's like, I need you to see that what you're doing is wrong. You can't allow it. Like, we got to
Yeah.
quit going, well, I'm just going to go along to get along. I don't want to rock the boat. It's like, no, we need to be rocking the boat, turning the tables like Jesus did and going, not today, Satan,
Hmm.
not today. But we're going, okay, well,
Yeah.
he's just kind of like, he's kind of warm because he's like, from hell and like there's fire. I'm just kidding. But like, it's just,
He's lost.
Well, what I'm
yeah,
going to say real quick, if you don't mind,
Yeah, go for it, bro.
America has an opportunity here to once again set an example to the other nations.
Amen.
And we did that one time by having that constitution, okay, that binding document, those states that were those three levels of sovereignty as a country, as a state, as an individual. Okay, if we choose to handle business differently, then guess what? It's going to pretty much spread. Just like there are so many republics all across this earth now. I mean, they are everywhere. Unfortunately, they're all corrupted because human beings are 100% capable of. It was said to me. A lot of people would say, absolute power corrupts absolutely. But if you were to even refine that down more, positions of power attract the corruptible. Okay, so what needs to happen is we need to engineer an engaged society. I use the word citizen. There's a lot of people that don't like that for whatever reason. Okay, what I will say is this: if we handle business more so and do not rely on the government, then guess what? Their job gets easier. They don't have all of these, you know, three-letter agencies, whether it's the EPA or the FDA or the all this, all this
Hmm.
shit. I mean, I just learned last week how the FDA is funded primarily by I'm going to use the word, the application fees for big pharma. And
Wow.
these people, so this is it's like a business model. It's a corporation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and it,
exactly.
and all these people, there might be somebody in this room right now that works for big pharma, and they got to look themselves in the mirror and kind of be like, what am I a part of? And I'm not smack talking them, okay, because once again, this is the society that we've allowed to you
Sure.
know to literally take hold.
Yep.
And when people have their priorities upside down, I mean, how many people just want to live a happy life, want to, you know, have a job, be productive, raise a family, whatever it is. I don't know. I mean, we've slipped very, very far. Okay. I
Yeah.
mean, I hate to be the pessimist guy as well, but, I don't feel, I still don't feel like we're there yet. I mean, I don't know what's going to have to happen here. I mean, it's quite obvious to me that there's, I don't know. We have to have hope, but we have to have hope in ourselves. We can't be relying on some sort of a politician to solve
Yes.
problems that literally we should never have encountered, had we been our brother's keeper.
well, because we
And
vacated our seat
Yep.
well,
of being the authority.
Yeah.
So it's like once you do that, then someone's gonna, like, if the king steps away from his throne, who's gonna come into their place? Anybody and anybody who thinks that they can come in. And then as soon as the king comes back, he's like, they're all, what are you doing here? It's like, well, I'm coming to take my seat. Well, you vacated it.
It's
So
kind of like that Lord of the Rings, and that one guy name, but it's like, no, you're the king, and like his face changes. You remember that part? Sorry, man, I'm
right.
all alone on this.
No,
But yeah, we got to realize that we're the king. Like we're
that's
the
right.
ones that tell them what to do, and that's what this space is for. But
Yeah.
sorry,
Well, but
I
so
interrupt you.
because we've stepped, no, no, not
Yeah,
at all. But like because we've like literally vacated that seat, obviously someone's going to fill it, right? So it's like we just have to go back and step into that. But the more I think about it, everybody's kind of lazy and that's why they go and they look at someone like, say, Trump, and I'm not talking shit, but like they want him to be the change. And it's like, sure, he can on a national level somewhat, but at the same time, if you want anything to change where you're at, you have to be the change locally. You have to go in, see what your local officials are doing, because most people don't even know who represents them. They have no clue.
100%.
I didn't know before I got into it, and I was like, I don't even know what these people do. Like, it was like a very fast learning curve to go, oh, wow. And I thought, I'm going to go in and I'm going to tell these people like to stop doing this and they're going to listen because they're supposed to listen to the people. Then I realized, oh no, they're not, because we've taken our a different road and allowed them to run rampant doing all of these nefarious things, or like pretending in a facade that they're going to actually help us. And I was like, once I realized that they're not here to do that, it drives me even more. Because I'm like, I am stubborn. I'm like, I'm going to still change that because I know that we can, but we have to get back into our rightful position because they've
Hmm.
inverted everything. That's why this is Satan's playground. He inverts everything. What's good
Yeah.
is bad, what's bad is good, right? And
Yep.
so we have to, because we do have that authority. It's God given. But if
Right.
we don't step into that, someone else is going to be there, and then we're going to have to deal with that after effect, right? The aftermath of that. And so it's so important for us to understand that we actually can do that. Don't be, I try and tell people, like, you're the superhero that you're looking for. Like,
Yeah.
you can do that. Like, if I can stop an operation of a huge trafficking thing just like that, I mean, it's inspiring because you're like, oh my gosh, imagine if we all did that. Like,
Yeah.
it would be amazing.
Yeah. Just so people listening know, we don't have these spaces just so we can like talk and feel important. Like we're really believe that if we pray and if you're connected to your purpose and you discover that and you connect and embrace that, and then you start to build connections, like real life connections with real people in your community that you talk to and can work with and learn from, then you can build on that. And I believe the Holy Spirit will work through that. In fact, God will orchestrate, choreograph all that in a like supernatural way. But this isn't a game. Like this isn't. We're not just trying to like talk about. Like this is a real war going on, and so the
That's why we got to
solution.
take it. Sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
the solution is find your purpose, find your spot, connect with people you can trust, build those relationships, and just make steps in the right direction. God will connect you, whatever you believe, the universe will connect you to the right people, and there is no one that's going to just fix this. And if you believe that, you have been psychologically manipulated, because it's just not how this thing works.
100%. We have to step into that. Like,
Yeah.
God will, oh my gosh. I mean, I never thought I would walk again. I was paralyzed from a spinal tap for 8 years. I thought that was the end of my life. And it's like, He has brought me into such amazing places because I trust Him. I actually am like, okay, lead me to where you want me to go. If I go and speak, I'm like, give me the words to speak and may you speak through me so that I can be doing. And it is so fulfilling because I know it's fulfilling His purpose.
Yeah.
And it's like if we can just trust in that as opposed to trusting in those that are trying to destroy everything, because that's what we've been taught. Like, you just got to kind of go along with this. You can't rock the boat. You're not supposed to do that. It's disrespectful, this and that. And I'm like, But man, I mean, I'd rather walk this world alone, knowing that Jesus is by my side and that I'm doing his work,
Yeah.
than try and capitulate to all of these evils that are, taking hold of our lives. And
And
you can see the fruits of your labor when you do that.
amen. Yeah, and we can see the fruit of your labor. And yeah, if anyone in San Diego or in the vicinity of Southern California, connect with Storm, and she'll give you your shift on the border.
Right? That's right.
But yeah, this is. I hope you guys realize what's coming, because this is yeah, this isn't a game here.
It ain't coming. It's here. It's here, dude.
Well, like manifested, like
Right. Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, when these people go live, because they're organized all over our country right now, and like we've been talking about, we've been in all these countries for the past 20 years, and there's a lot of pissed off Pakistanis, pissed off Iraqis, pissed off whatever you call, and we've just given them an open front door into our country to hurt us the hardest way possible.
Well,
So,
and I was going to say real quick, because I know we're about to end our segment, but there's multiple reasons around all the world, and Eye of the Storm touched on this earlier, why we're hated. I mean, we've invaded all, and I believe the gentleman from San Diego, he brought it up, that we've literally overthrown governments, done assassinations, regime changes all over the world, and they hate us for that purpose. And one of my buddies from the military who I served with, he's from Venezuela. He told me there's a real reason why a lot of people from South America look down upon us. And he goes, and he got his citizenship through the military. He did everything right, and God bless. He's one of my best battles forever. Uh, but he's from Venezuela, and he said, "Look, you guys are so arrogant that you guys call yourselves Americans." He goes, "We're all Americans, dude." He goes, "We're South American, you're North American, but you guys claim American like you own it." And he goes, "Yeah, you're from the United States or you're from North America, but you guys claim just you're American and leave us out like we're nothing." He goes, "We're all American." And he goes, "That's the reason why a lot of people from South America look down upon
or
us."
Latin America, yeah.
Latin, yeah, yeah. And I said, "Man, I never thought of that, dude." He goes, "Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't
it's
either, to be honest.
yeah,
We've also taken their land, though.
right, yeah."
And the Indians, like, where did it come from? You know what I mean? So there's that. I
It's
mean,
a
they
lot,
just want a
right?
place.
Well,
Yeah.
why do you think they're so good at selling our own country out? Well, because these people at the top of our country have been practicing all around the world for decades. It's pretty sad. I mean, we've done orange revolution or colored revolutions all over, and here we are with one right here,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Acting like we're not deserving of what's to come. That's why I'm like, we're actually due because of not what we've done, but what our government has done,
What
and
we've
we're
allowed
in
them
the
to do
throes
in
of
the
that.
shadows.
Yeah, and it's like and people always kind of demonize like standing up and kind of protesting, and it's like no, because that's how you show them. Because you could try many other means, and I don't mean violently at all. I just mean like going like, no, we don't want that.
Yeah,
Like
you're helping them to make the right decision. You're not demonizing anybody.
correct. And it's like we got to get back into that to be showing them like, no, we don't, because I mean, you see the illegals will do that. This is what we want. We're going to demand it. And I'm like, where are the American people? This is super weird because I was thinking they would be the ones that are going to come in and, just protest that what's happening is BS. And I mean, everyone's kind of taking a sleep at the wheel and
Hmm.
not really doing what they could be. But again, that goes back to like keeping everybody in a state of, just dire straits where they're just trying to figure out how to survive and feed their kids. So as long as people are in that state, they're not going to necessarily go and try and fight something that they feel is helping them too. I mean, because we've been
Hmm.
psyoped into believing like, no, the government is here to help. Yeah, they're the ones creating the problem, offering you a solution because of the reaction they got and the whole Sicilian dialect. I mean, and we've just allowed that to just continue. And it's like, even though people kind of know too, that's the thing is people will go, like, they know that it happened, but then they also kind of fall back asleep and they're like, well, I'm too busy. I can't do it right now. And it's like, well, I don't know what you're
Yeah.
waiting for, because at some point it's going to be out of your hands and you're going to be having to just react, and you should be prepared before that happens. But
Exactly. We
Jake,
got, yeah, Jake. What's up, bud?
Peace and blessings to the room.
Yeah.
Uh, we're at a point to where black and white Americans need to come together. Our
Hmm.
country has been invaded by foreigners. The Democrats stand on foreign policies, putting everybody amongst real Americans who actually built this country and paid and fought and died to defend this country. you know, and
Hmm.
and I'm against stuff like that. And I definitely very patriotic and represent America, because at the end of the day, these other people got a place to go back to after they destroy this one, even though they coming from shit. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I'm very spiritual. I'm not religious, and I don't believe in you know religion.
Hmm.
I deal with, uh, I do have a spirituality, believe in the Most High, and I do know God help those who help themselves. And we got
Amen.
to be more diligent than hold on,
We still
we
have
got
you,
to
Jake?
be more,
Yeah. Go ahead,
yeah,
brother.
I'm here. We have to be more diligent in actually doing the things that's going to actually make motion in the best interest for Americans. Anytime you get a situation to where you see our veterans is out on the streets and these foreigners for illegally crossing the border is being put up in five-star hotels, there's a problem with that. And Black Americans is actually moving and protesting and going to town hall meetings, city hall meetings, putting writing up proposals, legislation, and everything, even down to the point to where actually Black Americans is actually separating ourselves from every melanated person on this planet. We're tired of people coming over here, and just because they have melanin, they're considered black. They are not like us. We are different. Where culture is different, everything is different about us. So for half person from
You're
Africa,
kind of going in
Caribbean,
and out a little bit
be able to
on
come
your audio, Jake.
some half. You can hear me now.
Uh,
Dear.
yeah, I think it's a little bit better.
Okay, so what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
people coming from Africa and the Caribbeans claiming to be us because they got melanin. Our features is different. Our phenotype is different. We think different. Our culture is different. We're Black Americans. We stand on being American. These individuals come over here, fly their flag, and represent. That should, even that alone, show treason.
Right.
They so when it comes to things like that, Black Americans, we're standing on our business and we're doing what's best for the country, as we always have been. And I think that white Americans need to stand on your position and do more, because
Amen.
we're not seeing, we're seeing y'all galvanize and all things. But if you look into Black Americans, Brad, if you look uh,
Chopping up
in
again.
Atlanta, if you look in Atlanta, Connecticut, and all across the country, Black Americans is actually protesting and standing on our business. Y'all need to stand on y'all business and fight for Americans, just as and defend our country. It should be less said. What I notice is that it's a lot of bark, but no bite. We got to start
Mm-hmm.
biting. We got to fight back, and we got to be true patriots. I land there.
Well, well
Are,
said.
part of that, I think, is that people will, because like it's so say during COVID, people would come into meetings and they're like, we're not going to put up with this. We're going to stand against this. And then the officials would go, no, they're not, because they don't show up again. So part of it is that we do have to constantly be showing up. We can't stop doing that. It's like people get frustrated because it doesn't go the way that they want, but it's like nothing is going to be on the flip of a switch. It's not going to happen instantly, but it happens over time. And we got to quit giving up and feeling defeated just because it doesn't happen in our timeline. That's the thing, is like, this is God's timing. This is timing outside of our like ability to change it in a certain time frame. That's why we have to constantly be vigilant. We have to constantly be on top of things. And the more that we aren't, the more things that, continue underneath our nose, because people don't understand what's going on. That's why I think going to meetings locally and things like that is very important, because you can see exactly what's happening and you understand it. Like, that's the only reason I know what's going on around me, is that because I attend these meetings and I'm listening to these tyrants and what they're doing and what they're, bringing forward to us. But if before that, I had no clue. And so it's like, it's always being present and not going like, well, I'm too busy or whatever. It's a choice as to what we decide that we want to do and what we decide we don't want to do. And we allow these things because people, again, get lazy. So we have to turn correct course and stop allowing these things to continue. And we have that ability. We just have to step into it.
So,
Yeah,
so
man.
what I would love to see is, once again, essentially the ability to understand what is going on in your local, state, county, federal government. Have that information be presented to you in a concise, bullet pointed matter by somebody who aligns with your value system. I'm not saying your value system to any particular person in the room. I'm talking about every American. And, in response to Jake, hey, you know what? You're an American as far as I'm concerned. I've gone down there to those county board of supervisor meetings or whatnot. It's right near Little Italy in San Diego, and they got their little things of Italian Americans, all that type stuff. I mean, to be quite frank, as far as I'm concerned, you're an American if you don't want to live under a repressive, tyrannical, authoritarian government. If you want to be a responsible individual, if you want to live in an opportunity filled, uh, system. There are certain demographics that have been.
I have to give you a little pushback on that,
You
and
go
the
right ahead, brother.
pushback and the little pushback that I gotta give you on that is, you're American if you could trace your lineage back to 1870 or further back, then you're American. And the reason why we got to keep things airtight like that is because there's a bunch of foreigners that came over here. It doesn't matter if they came from Ireland. It don't matter if they came from Italy. It doesn't matter if you're not the Anglo-Saxons, right? And the Black Americans
Right.
been here. You're not American like that. How American are you? Actually, I post something on my page that actually talk about the different degrees of being American on down to the present day. So y'all could take a look at that on my timeline. But if
We'll
you can't
check
trace your
that out.
lineage back to America, uh, to 1870 or further back, you're not an American,
I would
and
say
that's the
if
problem, because
yeah,
that's how our country been infiltrated by not only white foreigners like that, cosplaying to be Anglo Saxons, but Black Americans have been infiltrated. In with these
Right.
infiltrations amongst Black Americans, we call them tethers, and that's the melanated foreigners that is able to come up under disguise as Black Americans, and we're separating ourselves from them individuals. And I advise y'all to do the same.
Have you heard this deplorable? Because in my opinion, my understanding is if you're born here or if you're a legal citizen of this country and you support the Constitution and you will defend this land and even die for this land, you're a patriot, and I'll stand alongside
How can
anyone
you
that
tell
does that.
a person?
Well,
Well,
you got
when it comes to something like that, when it comes to something like that, you can't tell what's in a person's heart that comes from another country. And they're not citizens, they have citizenship. That means they could still get their ass shipped back to their country.
but you also got to think that America was founded on people coming here. So it's like it's a hard
Well,
kind of
Right.
Yeah, you
it
got to go
was
back to
it wasn't
1500s to Native
right,
Americans in that case.
right. And in that, I
well,
mean,
real quick, when
One
you
at a
look
time,
at
guys. One at a time. Let's go.
you when you say it was founded on people coming here, it was founded on invasions, and invasions been happening and been affecting Black Americans since the 1800s.
Well, it's been affecting
but
So
all
everybody.
people, I would say everyone.
all these individuals that been coming over here, been terrorizing not just Black Americans, but been infiltrating y'all. That's why there was a civil war. It was a civil war over with against white foreigners against white Americans. So now
Right.
we
Right. Yep.
face it, and we're looking at the writing of on the wall of a civil war too taking place. Juneteenth. Do you know what not Juneteenth? That's our liberation. But do you know January 6th? January 6th was just a sign of civil war too. That's going to take place in this country with white Americans against uh, uh, white foreigners, and that's what you witness. So the Democratic Party is a foreign party that support foreigners and not Americans. They even have something called the Offices of New Americans that's backing all foreigners and supporting all foreigners. And I'm talking about with money. I'm talking about with resources and giving these people money and resources as soon as they cross the border.
Yeah,
So
we've been
if
talking about that.
we're talking
NGOs.
about the offices of
Yeah.
we so if we're talking about the offices of new Americans, what's going to happen to the old Americans? So, there's a
Well,
replacement going on, not just with Black Americans, but with white Americans. And y'all need to wake up
absolutely.
and actually see what's taking place, or there ain't going to be an America.
Well,
So
I definitely
the
smell what
logic,
you're
and
cooking
then
there, Jake. What I can say, man, is I didn't get a history degree. Pretty much, I'm fully aware of what happened in 1871. That is really, you essentially just pretty much exemplified how I even posted in that purple pill, what it means to be an American. Okay, so I understand that words have definitions, words have legal meanings. I get all that. There are people, unfortunately, brother, who literally are coming to America still being sold a lie. They are so they
They're
are
being
serious.
trafficked here.
They are seriously thinking.
mm,
Well, that is certainly happening as well. They are seriously thinking that the American dream is quote unquote still alive. Let's just say, and I'm not saying it's completely dead, but what I can say is that the success of the middle class represented kind of those American values that we have. Let's just say thrown by the wayside. So I mean, I'm not really interested in talking about dates and all that type stuff. I get exactly what it is you're selling there, but what I'm saying is that this is a problem that maybe unfortunately many people in our country are just recognizing it in the last 4 years. But guess what, dude? This has been going on forever. This is multiple
mm,
thousands of years old, and we are behind what's going on in these European nations. We just look at the people in the Congo. They've literally been beat the shit out of. Just look at the people in South America. They got beat the shit out of. Okay, so I mean, this is a bigger problem than you know. We really can't just put a timestamp on this, and it's so it's
You
got to
know,
be a
in black,
philosophical thing. All right, buddy, I'm
and I
gonna
want
let
to
you
say
I'm gonna let you
this, right?
respond. Please do, please do. I like your brain, man. I like your brain. Keep feeding me.
Yeah,
Well, hold on,
In
hold on, hold
black
on, hold on.
American,
Let me interject here.
yeah, go
Hold
for
on,
it.
guys. So I see both you gentlemen have very good points. Jake has a very solid point, and I do agree with him on in the context of a civil war. For a specific example, is yes, we were fighting pretty much the British. We were still fighting the British on our soil. It was still a fight between invaders and infiltrators that were trying to take over this soil, and those that had already been here, established themselves, and became natives of the land, who were technically uh, still shipped here. They were still foreigners at some point, but they established themselves in their citizenship here, and they fought against the Brits, and that's so yeah. But that again, with what the gentleman was saying right now, I mean, this has been going on for thousands of years. It's happened. We just happen to be the most in the most infancy part of all this. We're only a couple hundred years old, and now we're seeing and feeling the ramifications of what's happened around the world for thousands of years. So go ahead now.
Well, let's get to some other
I said my
guys
piece.
too. Just but you can
Yeah.
respond if Jake, if you want to add something, and then we'll go to some other speakers.
hold on. You know, when people talk like that, like we're in the infant stages of this, and this been happening for thousands of years. One thing about the world is based on change. And if we don't make the forward motion to change some things, history gonna repeat itself. If you don't learn from history, it is liable to repeat itself. So in Black American spaces, we don't allow people to speak as we're gonna be ran over or we're gonna lose this fight or battle. No, we're gonna fight with every breath in our body to preserve Black Americans. This is our homeland. We're not from Africa. Truth be told, only 200,000 slaves made it to the shores of America. There was plenty of melanated people here prior before the transatlantic slave trade. So don't get that twisted. And you can look at a Black American and tell them that there's a difference between Black Americans and Africans, Jamaicans, and Haitians, and every melanated person on this planet. We don't even share the same phenotype. Our physical ability is different. We got 19 genres of music, best in sports and entertainment. We shaped and mold the culture of America. We're different. We're not the same as demelanated foreigners. And not only that, we're as Black Americans, we're going to defend our country. We have no other place to go to, and we're going to have to die with this ship if it if that deems to happen. If that deems to happen, give me liberty or give me death, and we got to stand, and we're standing on that, and we're going to constantly fight back against any adversary that's going to go against freedom and justice and equality, and especially for Black Americans, as well as all Americans, because anything that we do, it benefit all Americans. Let's get that clear. So I'll land there.
Right on. Hey, Mike or Ben, go. Mike, why don't you? I think you had your hand up first. How you doing, bud?
Hey, brother, thanks, man. Listen, guys. Really interesting space here. I
Right
live
on.
down in the South, okay, and I don't want to say what state because there's a lot of shit going on here, but we're a red state. We're all Republicans here. I mean, we're solid red. we can conceal carry or open carry anywhere we go in our state, and it's the law here. Um, we're a 2A sanctuary state. I actually helped get that done with my senator and got the bill passed. And but let me tell you what's going on in my little town. Now we've got two red lights here, okay, and we've got two hotels here or motels. Well, we had two NGOs come in, buy the motels, and no longer can anybody rent a room at a motel. What they've done is they've put 250 illegal aliens that have come across the border illegally in these motels, and they're here for one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to go vote on election day. Or by,
Well, and they also have
and
them on the voter rolls, so they don't even need to go vote. They could just counterfeit their
well,
voter
let
rolls.
me let
But
me
That's
sorry,
tell
go
you
right.
ahead.
this.
Yeah.
Here where I live, we have paper ballots and we do have voter rolls, and they're not going to get on the damn voter rolls because this is what's happened in my little town. The sheriff said, "Hell no, not in my town." Okay, we have 300 guys, black and white Americans, that are going to show up along with the sheriffs, armed, and we're going to be armed at these motels to keep these son of a bitches from voting, okay? We are going to kick their asses out of our county and our state. And that is the truth. And that is what's going on down here in the South, okay? We're not going to tolerate it. We've had enough of it. This shit's over with. I love this space. We as Americans have got to stand up and fight. We are all Americans. If you're black or white,
Hey,
it
let's
doesn't
get this
matter.
clear. You said y'all galvanizing to stop them from voting.
We are going to completely stop them. We've already got their asses off the voter rolls when they got on there
And
by
that's
these
and,
damn
and and that's
GMOs.
the type of motion I'm talking about. Shout out to y'all who's
You
galvanizing
damn
that
right.
thing.
You damn
That
right, man. I tell you what, Jake, we're damn serious about it here. We're damn serious about it, brother.
Well, can I ask you too? I'm
Hallelujah.
I'm not sure if I heard you wrong, but did you say that you were uh, helping facilitate it being a sanctuary?
I helped to get the bill passed. I came up with the
2A sanctuary.
idea to a sanctuary. I came up with the idea, presented it to my senator. This happened several years ago, and we're real good friends. And he wrote the bill, and the bill passed. Okay, and it passed overwhelmingly. So we now have open carry and concealed carry. We don't have to buy a permit or anything. You can go anywhere you want to, except for a federal building. Then you've got to check your firearm, or a school. You cannot go in a school with a firearm, and you can't go in a federal building with a firearm. If you go in the federal building and you forget to take it off, you've got to check it at the front. And other than that, it's wide open wherever if I go in a restaurant, if I walk in Walmart, if I go anywhere, if I go to the beer store. And the other day, I was I walked into the beer store to get some beer, and the two girls behind the counter were freaked out. And I said, "What's going on?" They said, "Oh, we just had like 200 illegals come in here, and none of them could speak English, and they were all walking, and there wasn't even room to breathe in here. There were so many of them, and it's not a big place. This beer store is not a big place. I mean, I can't even imagine getting 200 people crowded in there. There's no telling what the hell they stole or anything like that because they're damn good at doing that.
That's
But
all good.
I'm 64 years old, and I tell you what, people, we're not going to take this bullshit down here. We are not going to take it by no means. And
where
I'm
are
with
you
every
at?
one of
Where
you.
are you located at?
Man, I really don't
What
want to
state?
say because of what's going on down here, let me just say that I'm
Okay.
real close. I'll just say I'm close to Alabama. Okay, that's what I'll say. Um, Other than that, I don't want to say any more because we've got the sheriff backing us,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a hell of a day, a hell of a day. And we got poll watchers and we got everything going on, and we're not letting this shit go down right here in our little county. I can tell you that it's not going to happen.
I love it, Mike. I love it.
And
And
that's and what he's explaining right now is beginning stages of Civil War Two. And if this keep on taking place, these election tamperings, these utilizing the federal government to prosecute candidates for the president election, all these things that's taking place. These is foreign politics. This not American. When you talk, they want to talk about democracy, but this is not a democracy. This is a republic, and
right.
the republic is built off of the uh, Constitution and the amendments.
Amen.
You know, you make a really good point, Jake. And the thing that I really can't understand is, you know, we go to the grocery store. We can't even. Hell, how many times have I gone in the grocery store and had to put things back? Or I can't even go out to eat. I can't do anything anymore. I mean, I'm pretty much just here. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous. And this damn government we got right now is so socialist and so against the American people, but yet they want to gaslight your ass and tell you that they're for you and they want to do this for you and all this shit. And the whole time they're trying to kill you without killing you. You know what I'm saying? And
We
that's
know
that's
exactly what you're
Yep.
saying.
that's what's going on right now. And the
Yeah.
lawfare, that they're pulling on Trump and all this shit is just absolutely ridiculous. And I can just imagine what you guys and girls are putting up with in big cities because this is a little bitty place, two red lights, and we're putting up with this shit. So I can just imagine what's going on in the big cities. I mean, it's got to be awful up there.
Oh, we got
It's
a governor.
Oh, it's
We got
ugly.
a governor who's facilitating the raid. You
you
know,
know,
and I'm so glad you brought that up, Mike. And you are a breath of fresh air to this space, all you guys. But because we were talking about what this state of California is going to turn into if this keeps going on, and there will have to be that line where a group of people will have to be rallied together in a and like it says in the Second Amendment, not just the right to bear arms, but a well-regulated militia, a group of people that are going to say no, you're not doing this here. And we got the law, the sheriff, he's the law in the county. So if you got the sheriff and you've got constitutional law-abiding citizens, then that's where this is going. So,
Well, and if the sheriff doesn't toe the line, well, I'll tell you right now, for Fresno, California, I'm your Huckleberry. I'll be ready.
hey, I love it. I love what I'm hearing here. I love what I'm hearing. I love it, guys. Listen, um, here's the thing that really upsets me is that they've let all these people come in here and just completely take over this United States.
yeah,
We, the people, are the ones in charge, not our damn government. It's
right.
we, the people,
Yep,
and the
Right. Amen.
Constitution,
yep.
our God given rights. And we cannot be afraid to stand up. We must stand up. We must fight. I don't believe it will be a civil war. I believe it will be a revolutionary war.
There you go. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yep.
Because I think this is going to be just like it was when we fought the Brits. I mean, it's the
Yep.
same as. This is going to be a revolution. It's going to be a revolutionary war, and I truly believe it. And I think the people are going to come together. And when they do come together, you got to realize we outnumber them 3-1. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we are so big and we are so armed up. They're they're scared to death of us, and they
Yep,
ought to be,
that's the truth.
and they ought to be.
Yep.
Yep, yep.
We need to keep it that way.
Absolutely. I'm gonna
When the
land
And
my
this
government is
just
plane there and
afraid of
this
the
let you guys
people,
talk. But yeah,
yeah,
I agree
yeah,
with
There's
everything
freedom.
y'all are saying, man.
yeah,
and
I
I gotta
agree.
say this, man. This is the type of talk that we need to be talking. This is how Americans need to be talking, and this is what Americans need to be standing on. No matter black or white, we got to put Americans first, right?
yep, yep,
Amen.
Because we're sowing seeds into our country. We're not taking this money and shipping it overseas. We're putting money back, and we've been doing that for a very long time. We
yep,
constructed the culture of America. Everybody come over here trying to be American,
yeah.
and there's
Love
a
it.
lot of cosplayers, and there's a lot of foreigners that just don't uh, cut it. They come over here with the same politics that they've been running in their own country and eating at the fabrics of this country and constitution. These people got to go.
Yeah,
All for
I
it.
hear where you're
I
coming
not
from,
only
Jake. I mean, there's a
not
pecking
only
order.
illegal, not only illegals, but it got to be a cap put on even a, a legal immigration. All this got to stop. We got
In
to
the
clean
dual
our house.
citizenship for elected officials, having dual citizenship, I mean, you can go down the line of what needs to change.
Oh yeah, and they've done that
Right.
intentionally, you know what I mean? To make sure that they can insurrect everything. I mean, even Kamala Harris, I mean, Obama was not there, none of them are eligible, but yet it happens and we just kind of allow it. And that's what's so sad is that even if that information comes out, they try to stifle it and brush it under the rug so that the people don't really understand what's happening. And that's exactly how they've been able to usurp everything from the inside out.
Yep.
You know,
Well,
Let,
politics.
let,
They trying to.
let me get Banhammered. He's been waiting, guys. He's one of our brothers
There
in
you
California. What's up,
there you go,
Banhammered?
man.
Hey, I had a question for Audrey because I know she's down there reporting on a whole bunch of stuff, and
Sure.
I wanted to say to her that some of the buses that they're busing them all around in have dot numbers, and you can use those to track them.
Yeah.
For instance, I saw one in my town, and I looked up their dot number, and I found their website, and I found all the locations of all their depots, and it turns out they had one in San Jose. So it's a little bit of metadata that we can use and write down in case the power goes out or something does start to pop off. That we have that information instead of looking at a phone that doesn't work. We have it. We can go do what we need to. Because it doesn't seem like a lot, but it does help to get the information
Some
down.
Let me
receipts
give
and
you
stuff.
let me give you guys a little website that is really a huge database. It's bigger than shit. It's called saferweb.com, okay? If there's a DOT number on a vehicle and you've got the DOT number, you can go to saferweb.com and you can type in that DOT number and it'll tell you every damn thing about that company and what they're doing.
Hmm.
Yep.
Right on.
Yes, because it's,
Saferweb.com. Everybody remember that.
thank you, Mike.
I'll put it on the replies here.
Yeah, because that's important to see, I mean, this bus company, it's a Damaris Express bus company that's, working outside of in San Diego, but they were used to do cross-border travel and different things like that. Even had a whistleblower come forward at one point to try and get more information. And the Jewish Family Services was trying to, that's what they'll do if they see your license plate, they'll try and, kind of terrorize you to get you to try and stop sharing what's going on or just having information come forward to the people. But we have a pretty good idea of this bus company and like where they have been housing their buses.
They're God's chosen people.
I'm sorry.
I said, did you just say the Jewish Family Services?
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, no, come on. There's no way. They're all good. Everything you're doing is great.
Of course, just like the Catholic Charities, even though they filed for bankruptcy because they're pedophiles, they're like, and then they're dealing with children.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on with you guys? Like, that's the one thing I try and expose too is I'm all, you shouldn't be getting money when you're sitting here because that's how they can hide it too, is being, declaring bankruptcy, and then you can't follow the money that they get, but you can follow it through the other organizations that give them the money. So it's interesting because like they'll do, they're just nefarious.
Gotta chop it up, huh?
They try and go under the umbrella of like it's a religious thing, and they're doing such
Yes,
great
cover.
benevolent work benevolent work, and it's totally on the side of Satan.
Yeah, and
Fallacy. Yeah,
just
yeah.
so we're clear, a lot of this money is coming from the Health and Human Services at the federal level, correct?
Correct. Yeah,
And
they're the
they've got
ones.
the largest budget, I think, of any agent of any department of the U.S. government, I believe.
Yeah, well, and they're the ones trafficking the kids.
Yes,
Right,
they've
which
got a
they do
huge
with our
budget.
own kids in America through foster care and CPS and different things like that. So it's the perfect organization to come in and help facilitate more of it. But they're also doing it with DHS. So our own government are the ones that are doing this. And that's what's a pill for people to swallow, because you don't want to believe
Chop it
that
up.
they have such a bad. Am I talking up?
Yeah, it's like gurgling.
Dang it. Okay.
Is your signal good?
I don't know. Yeah, it's good. I'm not
It
sure.
sounds good now. I don't know
It
if you're
does.
moving
I
at
don't
all.
know.
Or...
I'm not. Well, I just moved my phone up closer. I don't know. I do hear a little bit of feedback. That could be part of it. But yeah, the HHS, it's like they,
Yeah.
masquerade as doing really good things for the people, but we have to understand all of these organizations have been set up to destroy everything, and to, it's a business. It's something that, they look at as, something different than what they profess to the people. And that's what's really so sad, is that we believe in them, we trust them for deciding things for our health, and in reality they're doing everything to kind of just destroy not only our immune system and things like that, but the family, the
Yeah, it's the
all the
exact
children.
opposite.
Correct. Yes.
Like the Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just incredible.
Yeah, and it's sad because then people are like, "Oh, they're going to go find children." It's like, no, they're helping
Yeah, they're going to find children.
Yeah. Well, just like even DHS was talking about doing biometrics for all the migrant kids. And I was like, well, what a better way to put them in a system to help traffic more of them?
Yeah.
Like we just have to quit just trusting them just right off the bat. We got to look at it and bring in the fact that they've done a lot of nefarious things, and they don't care about us. They don't care about the children. Otherwise, you wouldn't allow children to come unaccompanied across the border at an astronomical level and just be like, well, we're going to provide them with a better home. And it's like, what? I mean, through foster care, through pedophiles who you're taking, thousands of these children to one location. I mean, that's got to be questionable, but they just continue to just make excuses for it, and that is what's so disturbing.
And anyone listening, if you don't believe this, please research it and share. Do solid research. Share with X Town Hall California or my channel Bobcats. We will distribute and open source and all of this stuff, because, like a Storm has been saying, daylight and exposure and truth and research is what these people are afraid of. Don't just take our word for it. This is, find out for yourself and check the sources and raise awareness. So this is really going on. Hey, Mike, I tried Safer Web and I couldn't find the website. It doesn't link me anywhere. It's SAFER web, WEB.com.
Yep, saferweb.com. I'm in the trucking industry and actually an agent, and saferweb.com. Yeah, that's how I find out about companies when I want to look at them and stuff. It'll give you an option. If you're on Google, they may have it blocked right now. Okay, you may have to use
I'm on
another search
Firefox
engine.
and it's not working, but
Huh. That's really weird.
Is it a
Unless
Yeah,
portal where
same.
you're an employee, like your actual trucker, like
no,
license?
it's just a government. It's the Department of Transportation's website. Safer
Hmm.
Web is
Says
safe.
not available when I look too.
Yeah, we
Huh.
can't connect to the
That's really
server.
weird. That's really weird. Let me do some research on that.
Yeah, you
Let me
can
get
post it on this space.
yeah. Let me get on my desktop. Are you guys going to be on tomorrow
Wait,
night?
wait, sorry. Can I just say something? It might be
Just what?
saferweb.gov. Is that one?
Yeah,
Because
that's it. That's
Oh,
that's
it.
it. Because
Gov.
I was like, when I'm
Yeah.
looking, I just said typed in safer web on the
Yeah, I'm
thing.
sorry.
And okay, no, that's all right.
I
But it's better.
misspoke when I
Yeah,
said .com. It
it's
is
okay.
.gov.
It's just better to
Saferweb.gov.
I'm
to.
not getting it with Gov either.
You really? Hang on. Oh wait, that's because it's. Let me take the link and share it. It's got more to the. I'm gonna put it in the purple
Cool.
pill. Oops. So it says safer dot fmcsa dot gov. So that might be because it says safety and fitness electronic records. So SAFER system. So it's like an acronym.
All right, cool.
Exactly.
They may have changed it. I hadn't been on there in a while. But it'll tell you. It'll even give you a phone number of the company and everything, and it'll show you what they have in their fleet and all that stuff. You can type in by name. You can type in by DOT number. It gives you several options.
Yeah, I
I'm
see that at the bottom of the thing. It allows you to type in the DOT number. So it's just
There you go. Yeah,
yeah.
you're on the right
Yeah.
one then. You're on the right one.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I see it.
Yep.
Safer, yeah. .fmc. Yeah. Cool.
That's
Got it.
that's the Federal Carrier Safety Motor Division is what that stands for, and it just any commercial vehicles going up and down the road. I mean, you can type in any DOT number you want to, and it'll bring up the company. It'll bring up the headquarters of their company with a phone number and the whole 9 yards. So it's a really good website, but people don't know about it unless they're in the trucking industry and you're brokering loads and stuff like that to owner operators and stuff like that. So it's a good website.
Cool.
Yeah.
And real quick before I go, there's definitely been a great space, and there's a lot of Black Americans in here. Shout out to the family that's in the room. Uh, and I just want to point this out. As far as uh, uh, these individuals, such as Obama, he never really did nothing for Black Americans. It's a given
That's
that a
all
lot
crock.
of
That's all
a lot
crock.
of our people messed up, by voting for this Kenyan, who's not a Black American. However, as it
Right.
opposed to Kamala Harris, no matter at how much she try to cosplay and pretend and run around with chuckers and Timberlands and collard greens, Black Americans ain't falling for that trick this time. You know what I mean? So we're standing on business, standing on policies, and most of our people that's standing on business and policies definitely 2024. Myself, I'm definitely voting for Trump. Or these illegals got to go, and that's going to be better for all Americans. And with that, I follow a lot of you in this space. Follow us back. Come to a Black American space. I got a rough crowd to
Can I say
uh,
something to you, Jake?
yes.
Let me say this. A lot of people think that in the South that black and white people don't get along. Like people up in Chicago and things like that. It's I don't know what it is, but I just hear it so much. But down here, we don't see color, we see Americans. You know, I have as many black friends as I do white friends. And I don't even use the term. I'm using it right now because you're referencing that way. But I have as many black friends as I do white friends. And we all get along down here. We get along great. It's awesome. Um, we don't have any problem getting along, and we stand alongside each other, and we've got each other's back.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Right on.
Amen.
Yeah.
And
Very well said.
and that well may be so. However, we just can't ignore the historical things that took in place. However, we do recognize anytime it's time to come together, we will fight in every war to defend America as Black Americans, and y'all do the same as well as white
Yep.
Americans.
And we do it together. Hey, that's it. Yep.
That's right. We'll do it together. We will do it together.
Well, hey,
Amen. Amen,
I'm
brother.
not trying to cut in line here, but I'm going to quick say something real quick. Mike, Jake, I really appreciated both your guys' input. I can only say you're
You
good
cut the
Americans,
line.
but we more or less, just like both of you, I believe, touched on, we are not a democracy. We are a republic, and more or less, with that, we in that republic, we do not need to wait for elections, voting to solve our problems. Okay. There are tools available to us where more or less we can convene and decide to hold those accountable that are pretty much repugnant to our God given rights. Okay, so I
Mm-hmm.
just want everybody to realize that, and I'm not saying you don't realize that, but I'm just simply saying we have a big problem on this border. We have the ability to go to our county sheriffs to let them know that we do need to essentially have uh, a citizen militia. Okay, you know, forget the National Guard type stuff. I don't know. I mean, we all need to solve these problems, okay? And I appreciate the hard work that you guys are both obviously doing. And my last thing I'm going to say is that whole concealed carry weapons thing is also repugnant to the Constitution, quite simply because the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. So that
Amen.
is in and of itself a fallacy. So the more of us that essentially recognize that, then more or less we're going to be making headway again to kind of decide that we do not want to be living under the thumb of a tyrant or tyrants,
Yeah.
global tyrants. All right, guys.
Right on. Thanks, brother. Yo, we
Good
got
job.
three new hands popping up here, guys. We're gonna start wrapping this to a close, but let's hear from you. I think Arrow, you had your hand up first, was it?
I thought it was
Or
me.
should we go ladies first with Nico?
Sure, she can go first.
All right,
Sure.
cool. Hey, Nico.
Hello to the host and the co-host.
Hello.
Um,
Hello.
hey, I appreciate you guys supporting us as Americans, but let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys support reparations for Black Americans only?
We don't support reparations at all. That's my
Well
stance.
then, well then, how you expect us to support the border?
Well,
What?
California has been a free state since the
Right.
beginning of its constitution.
Listen, I'm from Louisiana.
Okay.
Okay.
So how you guys expect us to support you guys and and
What do you
and
mean,
y'all
you
sit there
guys?
saying that y'all
Can
not
you
gonna
can you
support Black Americans for reparations? Let me tell you
But
something. Fuck
wait a
that
minute.
border. You got
can you
that?
elaborate?
Fuck that
Can
fucking
you
border.
elaborate on you guys?
We're going to have to bring you
White
down if
people,
you're going to argue.
Americans, because we're Black Americans. We're not the same.
But
And we're not gonna play this dirty ass
nobody's been
game
slaved.
like
Nobody's been slaves in our lifetime,
listen,
man.
listen. My ancestors was enslaved, and that shit fuck with us.
But
Y'all
so you
got
should
y'all
get
money
money for
trickled
that?
down to you guys. We have no
Everybody's been
fucking wealth
slaves, man.
trickled
We
down
didn't.
to us. No, no, no. It's not. It was not everybody. It was just that They
We didn't
they
Chinese
brought
came
us
in as
enslave
over
them.
here.
slaves. The Japanese
They
came
brought us
as
over
slaves.
The
The
here.
Irish
Irish were
came as
And
slaves.
slaves.
guess what? And I believe all of them being repaired except Black Americans. Stop fucking
But you
playing.
weren't
And guess what?
enslaved.
I'm not voting for no motherfucking Trump.
Shit.
He better scream out reparations of that motherfucking platinum plane. That's what the fuck he better do.
Well,
Because if he
honestly, I don't
don't,
care about
guess
Trump.
what?
I
I'm
don't
not
care about
fucking
him either.
voting for no motherfucking border.
I'm gonna
Fuck this
close you
motherfucking
out.
country. Okay, I say what I say.
All right.
My
Wow.
reparations.
Dang.
Yep. That was a
Arrow.
troll. Yep.
There ain't no fucking.
Okay. Hey, thanks to the host and the co-host. I just quick question. As a Black American, I'm not deciding on who I'm going to vote for. I'm probably not going to vote for either, right?
Right.
I'm just asking, though. I'm just asking. If Black people were to get, to, make immigration, specifically the southern border,
Mhm.
its number one issue, along with you guys, at that point, forget about what happened in the
Mhm.
past. At that point, could we rely on your community to treat Black Americans going forward as equal citizens?
I treat Black Americans as
Right.
equal citizens
Yeah.
already. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hold on. I don't mean on an individual basis. That means that will you also petition the government and say, hey, we see the systemic things that happen to Black Americans. We need this fixed as well because they are Americans. Can we at least expect
I
that?
just believe every American should be treated equally, equal rights,
Right.
period.
We're all Americans.
So, well, no, I get that. So you're saying you won't even petition on our behalf if we go with you and vote for Trump. That's what I'm just asking.
Oh,
Just
I
Well,
don't
we.
care who you
transaction,
vote
votes are
for. If you're
Yeah,
a
this
transactions.
is not
fellow
a Trump
American,
space. This is not a Trump
then
space.
you're
First
in
of all.
equal rights under the law. It doesn't matter who you vote for, what color you are.
Yeah.
You have equal rights with everybody
So
else.
you guys just accept everything is at a level playing
Yes,
field. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Thank you.
right
No
on.
problem.
Um, I gotta give a little pushback on that, for many different reasons. And one of the main reasons is if you look at the historical history of Black Americans in this country, there would have been no reason for us to fight for civil rights. There would be no reason for us to be free from chattel slavery. If you look, you want to say and run with that rhetoric that there was slaves all over the planet, but there was no one that was put in captivity for a lifetime chattel slavery. That only exists in America. However, opposed to the constitutions and amendments, we was promised a reparations. We was promised for 40 acres and a mule. We never received that, and the debt is still owed. Almost
Neither.
if
Sir,
I
may I ask you a question? Hold on, let me interject here. Sir, can I ask you a question? Are you aware, and I'm not trying to discredit or demean you in any way, are you that Africans sold Africans as slaves? Are you aware of that, sir?
and white people sold white people as slaves. If you look at what took place with the Irish as
Sure.
being indigent servants, but the difference between the Irish is that they was able
Mhm.
to freedom within 7 years and set up with homes and land and all that. Black we served as slaves, chattel slaves. That means we was uh, 3/5 considered 3/5 of a man and had no rights. And then after fighting the civil rights, which the war wouldn't have been won without Black Americans. After fighting the Civil War, it wouldn't have been won without Black Americans. Uh, where we're put in what redlining. We had to deal with redlining. We had to deal with uh, uh,
Mhm.
Jim Crow. We had to deal with all these things after. We even the Devil's Punch Bowl after the civil rights with the very same people that we fought on the side with turned their guns on us. This is historical history, and these things definitely have to be addressed. And it's almost as if when we was free from slavery, we was put on the monopoly board. Everybody was giving their money, but we're owed a debt, and we're gonna get paid reparations. So that's gonna happen,
Yeah.
whether you agree with it or not. It got nothing to do with common Americans. It got to do with what was promised to Black Americans by the United States government. And not only that we fought in the Civil War, we fought in the War of Independence and was promised our freedom from Britain. And what happened? The United States put us in chattel slavery for 150 more years. So, with that being said, and we definitely see what's taking place even down till this day. Black Americans have discrepancies and things that we've been fighting for, and they allow illegal immigrants for breaking the law and putting them up in five-star hotels that Black Americans would never even see, being and walking tiptoe in five-star hotels. And we built this country, not only built this country off our slave labor for working for 246 years, day in and day out, with no restitution. We're old. The descendants is still here.
Okay.
It's just because the individuals who endured that is dead, we still experience and still go through emotional trauma as a result of what we've been through as a lineage. And that need to be paid. You can never put a dollar amount on it. However, we'll start with 20 trillion.
Yeah, but what is money going to do for that? What's money going to do to make that better? Because it wasn't us that did that.
Money.
We'll
It
see.
wasn't the people
I'll
now.
tell you what
Hold
money.
on, hold on. I know, but hang on. What is it that we have done to you
Money make
today
the
that but
money.
what's money going to do?
You
Because
ask
I'm
your
a
question.
Native
You ask your
American.
question.
I know,
Fucking
hold on.
money.
Hold on, Jake. Hold on, Jake. Let her speak, Jake.
I'm actually a Native
Hold on, bud.
American, so it's like the land was actually taken from the natives as well, and they've had their land
Well, y'all
continue
had
to
slaves.
be.
Y'all had slaves too. As a Native American, Native Americans had
Yeah,
black
I was
slaves
definitely on black
as
slave.
well, and y'all owe as well. And we're coming for our money from Africa. We're coming up for our money from Native Americans, and we're coming for our money from the United States government. All y'all owe. All y'all owe.
No, we
It's
actually don't.
I don't
clear.
owe.
We don't owe anything
I
because
didn't.
we
I
And
didn't
didn't
do
and
it.
create
and
that
and,
We
problem.
didn't do it.
and Chinese are owed, and the Irish are owed. I mean, we
Everybody
can
is
really
owed.
go with every.
and they was paid,
So no coalition
the
then?
Japanese was paid, the Jews was paid for what they went through. So you mean to tell me us building this country, providing 19 genres of music, 50,000 inventions? You could thank Black Americans for the toilet bowl. You could thank Black Americans for the doorknob. You could thank Black Americans for a lot of luxuries that we adore in this country, that started in this country.
I don't. I agree with
So
you in that I don't
Open
think
heart
there's an
tell
amount
surgery.
of money that can pay
wait,
for
wait,
that. So you're just, there's working with you, working alongside you, and being fellow citizens together, and dying together. That's. But as for
oh,
money,
we
there's no
ain't
amount of
die
money
together
that will
like
ever
that.
cover that.
Because truth be told, in
If we close the border,
every
where
war,
do we get in return?
Black Americans was put on the front line. We was the fighters. We
No, there
are
was a
the
lot
true
of white people
patriots
that
of
died too.
America.
We
Yeah.
died
We
That's
together.
not
If we
it,
close
it was
the
a lot of
border,
people
what do
that
we
died,
get
but
in
not
return?
more than Black Americans. We was
but
put
but
on the
All right.
but
front
Well,
line, and this
but
is a historical fact that can't be debated.
Hey, listen, I don't think we're going to solve this. I know you want, I don't know what your terms are. I'll say you want a lot of money. California, this is a California space. I can't speak for the federal government. California was free from day one. The verbiage from the
mhm.
13th Amendment came from the California Constitution. In fact, we were largely created on the terms. There's a lot of people that wanted this to be a slave state when it was formed, and it was formed as a free state because should be free.
Well,
And
California even has slaves, but
Slaves were
they did it.
definitely there when
They
it
did
first
it.
started.
California still has slaves, but they did it. Uh, uh,
California definitely has slaves
no, slavery is not.
and they did
from
it.
the beginning.
Slavery, you got to read the California Constitution from 1849, and then it was rewritten in 1879.
Just because it was
They did it.
just because it was a free
Listen,
state
we've
doesn't
got
mean it
human
was
where they was
trafficking of
illegal.
children
legalized
going
there
across
in
the border.
California.
There's kids being trafficked across our border, and there's all kinds of slavery. There's mental slavery is probably the biggest form of slavery that we all are going through. And so we are talking, this space is about the southern border, and we could go on all night, Jake, and I think if we just
I muted
united,
everybody, brother.
yeah, I know, if we just could unite as people that are equal and that support each other and can listen to each other. We don't have time to go all night on this.
Right.
I mean, there's obviously a lot. Go
And
ahead.
it's divisive, brother. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with everything Jake is saying, but that to me, he used the term rhetoric. That rhetoric, even though I believe he's a true blue American, and his heart's in the right place, but focusing on the segregations and what's owed, and everybody can do that in this particular time. That's
Yeah, it's
nothing but
never
divisive.
ending.
That's not That's not unity. That's not unification. It's looking out for themselves and himself rather than straight up just saying, "Let's all fight together and win this nation back." Yeah, I disagree with reparations. I feel like there's a lot of other, uh, you know, ethnic groups that are deserving of that too, based on the founding of this nation and whose backs it was on. So I don't. So that's why I muted everybody, because it's nothing but divisive rhetoric. And I'm sorry, Jake. It is what it is. So this space isn't for that, brother. So go ahead, bro.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I see a lot of people laughing. I don't think it's very funny, but
yeah, it's fine.
I don't think there's any.
I
don't think there's
a lot
any
of
price that we could put on one race over another. Who's going to side that? There's
no,
no amount of money that could
absolutely
ever
not.
fix what's done in the past. So
Yep.
yeah, we'll just close it up. But I think where we can find unity is I'll give anti-socialite a chance to talk. But if it's going to go on about white against black, we're just going to mute it.
Yep.
So you can unmute, deplorable.
Okay.
What's up, anti-socialite?
Well, I just wanted to, because I came in kind of late, so I didn't hear everything you guys
Mm-hmm.
were saying. But when you use the word militia and you were talking about the election process, are you like what do you mean by that?
When we use the word militia, we're talking about the United States border and protection from domestic violence, from invasion, and defending our land and keep it under the law, which is the Constitution, is the law of the land. That would be all Americans, all legal citizens fighting together, whatever background you are, you're standing together to defend this country as Americans, for lack of a better word. And
Right. Perfectly said.
that's what a coalition is. And elections are to secure the fact that anybody, regardless of their race, white, black, Native American, Chinese, if they are Americans and they are qualified or eligible to vote, they can vote and trust that they have a fair election where their vote will be sacred and counted as one vote, just like everybody else.
So if I guess Trump or the Republicans don't win, you now feel as though the election was not fair to you?
No, if Trump loses
This is
and
not
it's
a Trump
fair,
space,
then
ma'am.
he loses.
This is not a Trump
I'm
space.
not
Yeah,
This
this
has
saying
nothing
it
to
is.
is a
do
Trump
with
space,
Trump.
but
Yeah.
we're talking about two candidates voting in an election. One happens to be Trump and one happens to be Kamala. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out, when you say if the election doesn't go your way, what way is that's not your way?
Who said that?
Yeah, I
Not
Who
never
said
said
that? Who
you
that.
did
I
you
didn't you
say
said
didn't
that.
use
that?
I
those
said that.
exact words, but that was implied when you guys were talking about the sheriff and the election and the getting the
How is
sheriff in
that
the election.
implied by talking about the sheriff in the election?
Because you also use the term militia. So I don't understand if everybody votes in the why would we need a militia
Because
if
we have an
everybody's voting?
Well,
invasion on the border.
What does that have to do with voting though?
Well, voting is another.
because they're shipping those people in as shadow.
Yeah. Yeah, if illegal immigrants can
Individuals.
vote, then that's not a fair election because they're not Americans.
But what proof do you have that the migrants are voting? Where is this?
Oh, well, that'd be a
Oh,
whole another space.
that's
We talked about the
Yeah.
been
voter
known.
Yeah.
rolls.
Yeah.
You can talk to Mike here, who spoke earlier.
They've been trying to make it easier for them to vote. That's the problem, and it's not a militia. It's a militia to make sure that our borders are protected. So I'm not sure if you're confused about what we're talking about, but it's about, you know, protecting the border and making sure that the illegals aren't able to vote because they don't have the right to do so.
Does that make
So
sense?
you're talking about taking a militia to the southern border to stand guard, or like because you mentioned
Yeah,
the
right now we have a
election at the
governor.
same time.
Yeah, we have a governor who's allowing this to happen, and we have sheriffs that allow this to happen. And because we don't have the legal support, uh, we're not advocating that we're going to go do this right now. But what other recourse do we have to secure our country? That's called a coalition, and it's in the second. It's a well-regulated militia, and the Second Amendment of the Constitution is the word that used there.
It just seems like to me, I heard the word insurrection, I heard the word militia. So it seems to me that you people are trying to form some sort of gang to
Where did you hear insurrection? Where did you hear that?
in this space. One of y'all use that term.
That's that. I feel like I honestly, ma'am, miss, listen to me here. I feel like you're trolling you want to be a
I'm not
disruptor.
trolling. I'm
That
trying to get to the
none of
bottom
that
of
rhetoric.
why anyone would be forming a militia during a presidential
A
election.
militia is in the Constitution, ma'am. A militia is used in the Constitution. That's verbiage from the Constitution. Yet you're right. That's my right. That's all of our rights to form a well-regulated militia against invasion. There's nothing more to that. That you should be able to understand that.
I don't think that's what you mean, but okay. So
Well,
I'm
you know
just
what?
Okay.
If you don't,
All
if
right.
you
listening.
guys don't mind, I'd like to once again jump in. I'm very bummed out that my friend Jake there left the room. I'd like to actually push back on a couple things that he said. More or less, the three the 3/5 clause or the statement in the Constitution was for the apportionment of taxes. It was not claiming that a quote unquote slave, a Moor, a Negro, whatever the correct term, black. I call all my black friends black. I mean, that's what we decided on when I was 16 years old, when we thought racism was done. Now it keeps circling back. It's kind of funny how that happens. But the 3/5 was for the apportionment of taxes to the federal government. Okay, and what I'd also like to say is this: I actually have seen. There is a place. I can't quite remember the bay. I want to say it's a bay, but it exists in the Caribbean or the or South America ish, and more or less as those Africans were sold into slavery and they were brought over here by whatever pieces of shit were bringing them over here. Let's just say the ones that were not
They're the
purchased.
Mayflower migrants, sir.
Oh
The
yes, yes.
Mayflower
Okay, okay,
migrants
okay.
brought
You
them
know
over
what?
here.
Let me real quick get to my point, ma'am. Uh,
Okay.
but
But you were acting like you
more or
don't know
less,
how they
this is
got here.
crazy
It
because
was the
this is
Mayflower
Don't
migrants.
interrupt
this
him.
this
Just let him finish.
this is actually a historical place where you can actually see, okay, to this very day, more or less those individuals, those human beings that were not picked up and brought into Georgia or South Carolina or North Carolina or whatnot. A lot of them were considered, let's just say, uh, I'm not going to say rejects, whatever it was, but they were the ones that were sold into the Caribbean. The life expectancy of those poor people that were taken to the Caribbean, unfortunately, was like 3.5 years.
Sir, are you trying
And
to say
I'm
that
I'm
slaves were never brought to the United States? Is that what this is?
No,
uh
it's not what he's
no
saying.
no no that
So
was
why are we
you're
talking about the Caribbean? I'm confused.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and real quickly repeat. Of the ones that were not brought into the United States, those ones had a life expectancy of 20 plus years. Okay, and I'm not justifying anything, but the ones that went to the Caribbean had a life expectancy of 3.5 years. And what I was talking about, ma'am, was my friend Jake said that they were 3/5 of a human being. Have you by chance ever heard of Frederick Douglass?
What? Yeah, of course, yes. What does that have to do with reparations? I'm confused.
But why are we talking about reparations?
Because that was a
Right.
point. That was the
Why?
point Jake was trying to make. He was talking about
Well,
reparations, and then this guy went and started talking about slaves going to Caribbean, and I just don't understand what the fuck that got to do with
But
anything.
this space isn't about
well,
reparations. That's the thing.
I
Like,
didn't make it
I'm not
about
sure.
reparations. Jake mentioned it, and then Standing or whatever the fuck his name is now talking about slaves in
Ma'am,
Jamaica.
just please understand that the Frederick Douglass, for instance, said that he believed that the U.S. Constitution was a racist document until he read it. Okay,
It's a fucking
that's a
racist
very.
document. What are you saying? It
It,
I'm
is
so
a
sorry.
racist document.
It
wow.
is.
it's not. It's
No,
not.
that's not
No,
what
No,
that
no,
it's
is.
equal
no,
rights to
ma'am,
all people.
The 3/5 was the apportionment of taxes to the federal government.
Post it in a purple
It
pill.
was
I
not
want
the
to see this for
3/5 of a
myself.
human being. Ma'am, I
Just
implore you to please do a little bit of research. I
Post it in a purple
appreciate you.
pill.
We are all slaves. This is a system that is
We are.
corrupted.
Shut the fuck up, you fucking cracker.
hey,
You're not a
you need to
fucking
chill
slave.
out,
Like, what the fuck is
anti-socialite.
wrong with you? You're not.
I have to mute her. You guys, we're not going to allow just.
You're not a fucking slave. White
Uh,
people have never been.
I did it again,
well,
brother. This went
we're gonna
off
wrap
in
this
multiple
up.
tangents.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up.
Yep.
So, just to wrap it up.
This is hey, look, hey, brother, real
Yeah,
quick. This is what's going to happen as we get
yeah.
closer. As we get closer, this is the type of rhetoric and divisiveness we're going to get. So we just got to know how to handle it and how to check it. So
No, this is a good example, a good learning moment, because the bottom
yep.
line is if we want to defend this country, we can't defend another country. If we want to defend this country, at least, or our counties, or our states, we got to realize the common ground we have. The Constitution is the law of the land. It guarantees equal rights. It's colorblind. I know we all have different history, different conditions that we want, but the bottom line is we're all equal under the law. It's
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately we've got
Amen.
the real enemy is the elite that have been controlling behind the shadows that are actually encouraging this division of us fighting each other. And they're the ones
Well
that
said.
are actually, ironically, they're the ones that are not equal under the law. They believe they're above the law and they can do whatever they want to. And you can see that. You can see that in the courts. They get off, and it's not just black or white people. There's an elite that is colorblind. They're a syndicate of people that are networking together to not only take down the United States, but to take down countries throughout the whole world, set up a global socialist government. And the United States is the
Last
we
bastion.
had this constitution. They did not foresee the fact, or these elites never considered that people, low blue collars, normal people like you and me, would have the intelligence to discover our rights from God, stand up for it, and in love stand together in communities and retain liberty for our families and our communities. So we that's we are being invaded. This is systematically the same people that ran the slave, and ironically, the same people that ran the same syndicate that ran slavery across the Atlantic is the same NGOs. It traces all the way back to the same groups of people that are facilitating trafficking through our borders right now. They're an enemy behind the shadows. They stay hidden, and they keep us. They know if they keep us fighting each other, they're the ones that they're never going to be exposed. This space is about exposing these NGOs and these corrupt actors that are paid off, whether they're in our state and our counties and at the federal level, and they're getting paid off to sell our country out. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's up to us.
And what's sad, and everybody that's listening, I don't care if you're black, you're white, you're Asian, you're Hispanic, it doesn't matter. Anybody that comes on the space in a divisive fashion, you will be removed from it. This is not. This is for unity. This is to fight the right enemy, in which my brother Chris just stated beautifully. And if you're gonna come on here spouting that rhetoric and divisiveness and hatred, we won't tolerate it. So go somewhere else with that, guys. All right.
Yeah, when we're divided, we're weak. And when we're weak, we get taken over. And when we realize who we are as human beings, and in this case, American citizens, and we come together and we know our authority from God and our authority from the law, we're strong. And we're, especially when we're able to protect ourselves, we're indestructible. So,
Amen, brother.
we're going to close in prayer. And Storm, thanks so much for coming and for all the hard work you do. And support her, support what she's doing at the border. If any people listening to this want to know what's going on in the southern border, she's got Eyes On, a group of people down there that you can follow to see that the military-aged people from all across the country are being allowed right into our country. They're financially incentivized to come in through non-government organizations who get money to pay these people. They get phones, they get put in hotels, they get flown all across our country, and we now have undocumented, or at least they document them, but they let them go, military-age people that have infiltrated our entire country right now. And we have no idea what they're planning. They can coordinate and set up a time where they can just go live and go hot at any point, and we will probably I'm expecting to see in some of these major cities, it's about to go nuts, and they're going to claim a lot of these people, just like they're paid to have a divisive narrative that they're the victims, and the powers of the government are evil, and so they're validated to fight the government and fight uh, local citizens, and all of this foments division and violence and destabilization, and that's what we're going into unless we seal the border and fix our elections. There's nothing racist about a secure border. There's nothing racist about a fair election, and that's the bottom line. So,
But we know these people are just they're little pawns, little puppets, spouting the indoctrinated rhetoric that they're taught. We know that. So it's sad. It's sad.
so let's close in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you to be alive. We thank you that we are not slaves. Lord, we thank you that even if we have been slaves, Lord, we can be free. We can reclaim our dignity from you. Lord, we can win it back through respect, and Lord, we can work it out. Not just, we can yell over line, but we can meet real people in our communities, and we can come together. And we do ask that we would unite as your people, and you would give us the skill and the awareness to realize what our purpose is. And Lord, teach us to work together so we can become a strong, united country again. And Lord, it grieves me, just all the division and all the hatred. And Lord, we ask that you would, we know that the real disease is the sinfulness in our hearts and the selfishness in our hearts and the deception that we've been under from the enemy in the shadows. And so, Lord, we ask for your Holy Spirit to illumine us and shine in us and teach us how we can know the proper path and win each other over, to be together and to be strong. Lord, we pray for our children that are growing up in this country and for the season that we're going in, that you would give us all wisdom to know how to defend our communities, and we would hold fast. And we pray this in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Well said, brother. Well, until next week.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys, I mean, please do come back. But yeah, we won't tolerate, black against white. I mean, I understand if you have a different background and heritage and you're proud of that,
Mhm.
and you celebrate that, But if you're going to demonize each other and make these
Right.
demands on each other, yeah, like Deplorable said, we're not going to tolerate in this space. Feel free to, yeah, we could try to work out differences if they're constructive, but we're not going to fight. Americans aren't going to fight each other. We don't have time for that.
Amen.
But yeah, we have our spaces Thursdays at 6 p.m. Feel free to join, and you can support this channel and Deplorable. I'm Bobcats down below. We'd love to DM,
And
stay in touch.
Yahoo Rises 82. Yep.
Yeah. Right on. You guys all have a great night. I wish the best for your families and everything going on in everyone's life. So God bless.
You too, brother. God bless, man. You have a good one. I'll talk to you soon,
Right
bro.
on.